I always smoke weed, but I was like, I'll do it beforehand, you know?
So you can do it in the morning and like still get through the day just fine?
Yes.
I can't. I can when I have nothing to do.
Yeah.
Is today kind of like more like an off day for you?
It is, but like I have got work to do. And even on like a work day, like before work,
You're like, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Some
But I'm
people are
super
like that.
particular about like the type of weed that I buy too. Like I only buy sativas and hybrids. Like I don't want to go to bed. Like, you know, I'm looking in the I'm doing the research. I'm like reading like what are the effects here? I'm looking for uplifted, creative, like those types of things. If it says that, I'm in.
It'll literally say on there like creative.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
If you buy it at a store.
Yeah.
I don't buy it at stores.
Well, even if I'm like not buying it at a store, if I'm supporting my local weed man, I even still like whatever strains he tells me he's got. Like I look those up too, because you know like Leafly exists, like where you can like search up any strain and like see what people are saying about it.
That's the good thing about it being legalized.
Yeah.
Well, it's first of all, it's safe. You know what you're getting, but also like what you just said, all those different things you can look up what it might do, where it's from, what others say about it.
Yeah.
It's nice. It is kind of funny having it legalized, and you could buy it at a store, and you can also still buy it from your friend, and also
Yep.
you know someone who grows it who gives it to you for free. Like it's all over the place.
It's cool.
It's kind of funny and goofy. You're like, what are we doing here? It's a weird game.
The taxes are too high though.
Taxes are bad.
Yeah.
It's hard to justify buying at a store unless you come from a place where you have the means and you're like, I want the legit stuff. But when you're in a place where you're just like getting by in life, you're like, why would I go to the store when so-and-so has it?
Yeah. But then it's like what you were just saying. It's like I can just look on the website.
That's
It's like
pretty cool.
right there. Like before I even hit order, I know what I'm getting before I get it.
That's cool. Now, is it anecdotal stuff from different people who just submit to it, like a blog, or is it do you know where they
So
get
it's
this
like,
information
you
from?
know, they do testing at the different like grow facilities. So like they test it with their workers a lot. And their workers are happy to test it.
I'm
Like
sure.
I've got a couple of friends who like work for like big dispensaries. One of my friends works in a grow house and he's like, here's all these things I've got to test. I'm like, well, that's really cool.
Wow. It's kind of like people who work at bars or breweries or coffee shops.
Yeah.
Everyone I know at a coffee shop, they're like, hey, I have like 5 to 10 cups a day. I taste everything. And people work at breweries like, I'm always drunk. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good...
I mean, well, you know, I've bartended a lot, you know, throughout the years, just doing like creative stuff. Like bartending and serving's always been like a good side option for most artist type people because it's flexible. So yeah, I definitely know my way around a bar.
Are you from Chicago?
Yeah.
We even spoke about who you are and your name. Want to tell the listeners and viewers who you are and maybe what you do?
Yeah. I'm Chloé Chanel. That's my first and middle name. A lot of people ask that, like, is that really your name? I'm like, yeah, that's really my name. My mom named me Chloé Chanel.
It's a great name.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm an artist of sorts. That's
Typical artist to not be able to say that they're an artist. I'm right there with you.
It's hard to claim because I'm like,
It's like almost embarrassing, but that's not our fault. We've been taught that by society. If you're in any other field, you're happy to claim what it is. If you're an engineer or in STEM or medical or an educator, you're fine with saying it. But the second you're an artist, you're like,
I'm kind of
I guess I do stuff. People pay me to do stuff. I make a living, and it's like for some reason it's looked down upon.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's like I have this tagline. I just say I just be doing shit and calling it art.
Well, what kind of doing shit / art do you do?
So I do a lot of photography. I'm super into like creating visuals. So photography, videography, and like making like really cool visual projects from those like things that I shoot. And then I also make music. I produce and I write.
You play instruments or you just do more production?
I do more production. it's crazy because I did start off playing instruments as a kid. Like, I played instruments all through elementary and high school, and then I was a rebel when I got to college, and I was like, I'm quitting the band. I don't want to be in the band anymore.
Is this in Chicago?
Yeah. So I grew up
What
doing
college?
marching band. Well, I went to University of Illinois first, but I ended up graduating from University of Wisconsin. But I was supposed to join the band at University of Illinois, and I just skipped my audition and said, I don't want to do this anymore. But I grew up playing clarinet, like all through high school, all through elementary. I played in a marching band. I played the mellophone for a while. If anybody doesn't know what
That's
that
a deep
is.
cut. That's a deep cut. The mellophone, for those who don't know. Can you describe the mellophone?
It's a big-ass horn. I think it's probably why I was like, fuck this, I'm not doing marching band anymore. I came, like, to band camp one summer in high school, and the director, like, walks right up to me and he goes, I'm switching you to the mellophone. Mind you guys, I've been playing woodwind since I was, like, 10 years old.
And you're like, what's a mellophone?
I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I was like, oh, I'm going to play, like, a brass horn all of a sudden. And I'm like, how? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what the fuck to do with that. And I was so mad. He made me learn it all summer long.
He just picked you?
Yeah.
That's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, whatever.
No, it was. I was like really irritated by it, but it was like, all right, well, I have to because he says.
Yeah, right.
What am I going to do about it? If I want to stay in the marching band, I guess I'm going to play the fucking mellophone.
And this is in Chicagoland area?
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
So I'm from the east side, from over east.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a Chicagoans from the east side. Say.
What specific neighborhood?
I don't know I don't know what is my neighborhood called. I didn't realize until I got older that different people from different parts of Chicago call things neighborhoods, and I never knew that.
You lived that much in like your bubble?
Yeah, like, you know, Chicago's so different. Like, it's kind of segregated.
Kind of. I would say maybe the most segregated city in the country.
It's probably the second most,
Yeah.
After Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's bad?
Yeah, Milwaukee's terrible.
St. Louis is too, right?
Yeah, I think
With segregation.
so.
I mean,
a lot of Midwest cities are very segregated.
Chicago's, because I've grown up here in this house my whole life and going around Chicago. I don't know your age. I'm 31. So.
I'll be 30 next month.
Oh, nice. Welcome to hell. Things matter. People look down at you. You can't get away with anything anymore. Actually, these days you can. 30's like the new 40.
30's the new 40. I thought 40. It was the new 20.
That's what I meant to say. I went backwards. I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right. I'll take that back. 30 is the new 20. It really is. So right now I'm 21, and but I'm really 31, and it is weird. You definitely get different takes, different looks, but people are really lenient with it because of the state of society. They're kind of like, oh, whatever, you're good. Don't even worry about it.
I feel like it's not. It doesn't feel as daunting as it once did.
I think
when I was like 25, I was like, oh my God, I'm almost 30. I'm going to be 30. What is life? Now I'm like, I don't care.
You find yourself more. The people I know in their late 30s or early 40s have said to me that 30s are your best time because you truly have had enough adulthood to hone in on who you are, what you want, your preferences. You get all the nonsense out of the way, the big mistakes.
Yeah.
The stupidity, career, life, education, all of it just gets out of the way, and you know who you are, what you want. You've established your friends. You have you have your relationship with your family.
Yeah.
You found what makes you tick, the music, the art.
Yep. It's crazy. I feel like I was just having this exact conversation last night. I was talking to this kid that I work with, and he's a cool kid. He's only 21. So
okay.
And, you know, I was telling him, like, yeah, he just turned 21. I was like, yeah, I turned 30 next month. He's like, yeah, but you seem, like, so cool. Like, you have it all together. He's like, you don't seem like you're about to be 30. And I was like, well, you know, honestly, it takes those 20s to, like, figure out what you're doing. I'm like, so don't feel so much pressure to, like, know exactly what you want to do. I had no idea what I was doing with my life at 21.
Oh.
At 21, I was just finishing college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And right after that, I became a teacher. And so I taught 7th grade, 8th grade, and then I taught high school. So I taught for 4 years. And I was like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing.
What were you teaching?
I taught history and English.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's what you studied in school then?
Yeah. Well, kind of. I studied education policy, so I was really gonna change the world. I was really going to
You don't want to do
go
that
in there
anymore?
head first and change the education system. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. Oh, it's daunting. The education, I have a lot to say about that. Being in education still, but at the college level, I could see how much. Oh, that's Bo. We can ignore him. I see how much trouble there is, and it's just there's so many things that should be taught that aren't. I don't know why we don't talk more about sex,
Yeah.
drugs, finances,
All of those things that like kids
racism.
need to know about
Yeah.
because they're going to experience, but we're just going to pretend like they're never going to
We
meet
like
this
barely
information.
touch it, and the excuse like, oh, like they should learn that at home. It's like, but what if the parents aren't educated on that? Then they're not going to learn it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just taught like, they just don't even talk about sex. Just don't do it. Like that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. I literally worked in a school district that had removed the reproduction system from the science curriculum because they just didn't want to deal with it.
What?
Yeah. So it's like, I guess parents complained about it, the curriculum being too much. And so it was like, all right, well, if it's too much, then we just won't do it at all. We can't find a happy medium. We're not even going to try.
So like babies come from nowhere. They just appear.
We're not even going to bring it up.
Oh
Like they're
God.
literally just like, we're going to skip over this particular system.
How old were the kids when they were supposed to be learning that?
So like 6th grade, you know? Middle school. I think middle school is the perfect time to talk about it because that's when they're experiencing a lot of those like
Puberty.
hormonal changes. Yeah, puberty.
It's when you one summer as a boy, you come back one summer and you're like,
Voice deep,
well,
a
like
foot taller.
that, and then you're also like, why am I like looking at? Well, for me, I'm heterosexual, so it's like, why am I looking at women this way?
Why am I
like,
looking
what's
at
going
people,
on?
Especially like you think about kids in like school, they spend a lot of time together.
Mm-hmm.
They spend like, especially if you go to the same school with the same people your whole life, it's like that change is not. I think this is important. A lot of people may not think this is important, but this is important because it's like what I've seen and experienced. Like these kids know each other their whole lives, and so now they're starting to look at each other differently. This is a friend of theirs that they're now starting to look at and treat differently, and it's kind of like, how do we manage these relationships and maintain these friendships when these like things are like changing for us? And we're not the ones making a change. It's just life is happening to us. So how do we navigate this? Nope, we're gonna ignore it.
That's a great point. I never thought about that way. Yeah, you sometimes preschool, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm like, I like you more than how I used to.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
And kids are silly. They're dumb. They don't know anything.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna run up to her on the playground and grab her butt because
Yeah.
impulse is telling me to.
Yeah. Or someone dared me to like rub up against her boob with my elbow. Just weird stuff.
Because
I remember
just
those
silly little
conversations.
shit that kids do.
And you're like, hey, oh my God. Like, I don't even know what this is.
So it's gonna happen whether we talk about it or not.
Yeah.
So we should just talk about it.
You're right. Yeah. Why don't we? Maybe, I don't know. We haven't had kids yet. I can't speak for you. I haven't had kids yet.
I haven't had any kids yet either, but I've dealt with lots of children because of teaching.
Yeah. What made you want to leave after 4 years?
A lot of people ask like, "Oh, like you hated the kids?" I'm like, "No, the kids are great. I love the kids. The kids are probably the best part about teaching. It's the administration, it's the politics, all around.
As it always is with everything.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, I was young. I was 22 when I started teaching, so it was like I was really hopeful like that I could really like make some change. And you know, I did what I could. Like I really did. Like I made little changes in the best ways that I could. But ultimately, the school district has every right to tell you exactly what to do. Like, one year I was teaching English, middle school English, and they forced an entire curriculum. And when I say an entire curriculum, this is what you're going to say. Here is a script. You're going to read from this script. You're going to teach this and only this. And I should not hear anything other than that when I walk into your classroom.
And you're like, well, what the heck? Like,
Well, what if I know of a better way that's more
Yeah.
engaging
Yeah.
to like do this? Read the script. Why are you trying to change? Like, no, we've given you this. Do this. It works. And it's like, but does it work?
Yeah. Well, based on your experience, how many of the admins have professional teaching experience for a long duration to know what they should and shouldn't do, or do they just go into those fields?
I think it seems like it's kind of difficult to become like admin, but sometimes it's you teach for a few years and, you know, if you follow all the rules, you have good test results, you know, and because the like field is so people are leaving, like people don't want to teach, it's like the turnover is really high.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just promote somebody that just has been at the school longer than anyone else. And
Yeah.
so, like, sometimes that could just be 4 or 5 years because everybody else is leaving in that amount of time.
Yeah, not compensated well, not paid enough.
Not at all.
And the excuse,
Not
like,
at all.
well, you're off summers. It's like, you want to know why we're off summers? Because we go so hard for those 9 months. Like, you have to be off summers. Like,
Yeah.
you would burn out.
Yeah.
You would lose your mind if you weren't.
Literally. It's a lot. Like,
It's overwhelming.
it's so overwhelming. People don't think about it. They think about it, like, in the terms of any other job. But it's like, think about a management position where your employees are 12 years old,
And there's
3 years
hundreds of
old,
them.
4 years old, 5 years old.
Hundreds
And
of
there's
them.
30 of them sitting in front of you waiting for you to tell them what to do for 7 hours of the day.
Mm-hmm. And the philosophical responsibility of shaping their future. Like you, Chloe, as an educator at the time, anybody in that world, you're responsible for the people that become us one day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very heavy and serious burden that, you know, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year just doesn't cut it if you want longevity, if you want your sanity.
Yeah, like, and I wish that people could really understand, like, that when we say pay teachers more, sometimes people think about that in terms of, like, big cities like Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
My very first teaching job was in Phoenix, Arizona. My very first teaching salary was $35,000.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
Can't do anything with that.
people in Chicago don't understand that is like, what could you do in Chicago with $35,000?
You'd have two other roommates and live
At least.
in not the best neighborhood. Like that's exactly what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
That is what happens. I know people like that. A friend of mine had got a teaching job right out of college at the junior high I went to, and I think his salary was similar to that.
Yeah.
You're like, it's close to Chicago. You're like, you can't leave home. You can't not have roommates. You can't pay off student loans.
Yeah,
you can't buy a car.
what can you do with that? You can't save. Like,
Can't save. You live paycheck to paycheck. You're off summers, and you can't even go travel. Like the cool thing of like, oh, go travel. It's like, where? I have no money.
It's like you want me to. It's like you get summers off. Yeah, I'm gonna sit right here. I'm probably gonna find a summer
You're
job.
gonna work. Everybody
Yeah.
I know works during the summer. That's a
Yeah,
teacher.
a lot of teachers work in the service industry too because they can do it after work.
Mm-hmm. Friday, Saturdays, they'll bartend. Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of teachers that I know are married because not just because I won't
Right, the
say
way you
just
said that.
because, but I'm just saying
You have to get married if you're a teacher.
you
That's what
basically have to get married if you're a teacher because,
because
you
you
need
love
a
someone.
2-salary home because otherwise you will be homeless.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. I teach full time and I work in between all those hours, and I work on summers. Granted, it's for college, so it's only 2 days a week, but it's full time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not enough. I mean, luckily I do other artwork to stay relative in my field so I can keep teaching there.
Yeah.
But it's still like you have to do it. Like a lot of
You have to
a lot
do
of people who
something
teach
else.
do other jobs.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're a teacher full time, you're still working part time doing
Mm-hmm.
something else.
Or you got really lucky at a good school district and you have a partner. Then
Yeah.
you might be able to be
Yeah,
okay.
true.
But if you're on your own, you're 22, 23, starting out by yourself, you're not in a good place.
Nope. Luckily, I had like family, so I was okay.
Staying places. And,
Yeah.
And so you left because of administration nonsense. You were just kind of over the shadow of them on you, lack of being able to just do what you feel is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had, like, I just had some, it was like final straw with administration of just like not taking things seriously and me just being able to look and see like you're doing this for money and money only. Like it was when I started learning about how like certain school districts are paid per student and like noticing that the push to like get attendance up around those times.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so like, there would be a push from administration and be like, hey, let's incentivize the kids, making sure that they're coming to school because there are certain time periods where where we're funded from, they're checking the attendance because there's a certain amount per child that a school is paid. So like per enrolled child, but that student is only considered enrolled if their attendance is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then I would see on the other end, like, hey, let's incentivize the kids to get to school today. How are we going to get everybody to, show up for attendance?
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
not talk about the reproductive system. That's how we do it. So just get the bodies here.
Get the bodies here to make
kind of
sure
who
that
cares what they learn while they're here.
That's how I felt.
Right, and that's
how I
so
felt.
backwards. That is the opposite of education. That sounds like a business. It sounds like
Yeah.
every business idea ever.
Mm-hmm.
I just want the product out there. I don't really care what they do with it.
Yeah, so the hardest part about leaving is the kids, right? Like, I left after my seniors graduated. I was like, all right, I have done what I said I was going to do. I saw these kids to graduation, and I'm going to go when they go.
Mm. That must have been hard.
Yeah.
And what did you do next? You're 26 at the time?
Yeah, I think so, right?
22,
Math
college,
is so
26.
Fun fact, they asked me to be a math teacher. I declined.
You're like, I'm not doing that.
No, math is not for me. No, but I moved back to Chicago in 2018. So I stayed the school year, did graduation and everything. So I think I came back like end of summer of 2018. And as soon as I got back, I went on some interviews for some other teaching positions, even though I knew that's not what I wanted to do. Got some offers, declined them all. Because I just knew. I was just like, I was trying to convince myself, oh, if I try it in another city, because I've never taught in Chicago, even though I'm from here. I never taught here. I only taught down in Arizona. I was like, maybe I should give it a try. But eventually I talked myself out of it. I was like, no, this is not what I want to do. So I've had many jobs since I've been back in Chicago since 2018. I just kind of started trying shit. Like, I worked in logistics for like a year. That was really fucking interesting, but definitely not for me.
Yeah.
I did some like executive assistant work, some office management work. I managed a restaurant for a year in downtown.
You got some unique experiences.
Yeah,
That's
I was
kind of cool, though.
Well, I was just kind of bouncing around trying to see what stuck,
Yeah.
and then the pandemic happened.
What pandemic?
What? Oh, you guys weren't there for the
No,
panorama?
it didn't affect us out here. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that stopped some industries more than others, but it
Yeah.
definitely stopped everybody.
Yeah, at the time I was working as a restaurant manager, and so
That didn't go very well.
not at all.
Explain what that's like to be a restaurant man. What restaurant are you able to say, or do you don't want to say?
We'll leave it out.
Okay,
but
it's in the city.
It's in the city. It's
Decent
in downtown.
restaurant?
Yeah.
If it's downtown, it's decent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was in River North.
Okay.
Yeah. Right? River North, Streeterville, Gold Coast, one of those.
Oh, that's
See,
a
I'm
very
bad
nice
with
area.
with the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Bad with the neighborhoods. But pretty big restaurant. And
Wait. How did you end up managing it without having previous restaurant experience?
well, I started bartending and serving when I was in college, like, just as a part-time job. So I always had a little bit of experience. So I started bartending there. I was a good bartender, I guess, and they asked me if I wanted to manage.
You just say yes to everything.
At the time, yeah, I was kind of just going with the flow because I was
Mm-hmm.
like, let's see,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I do like managing restaurants. And I did. I actually did enjoy managing a restaurant. That was a good time. But it's a lot of work and it's really time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Really time consuming. But it closed down in March. They told us 2 weeks,
Yep.
the
Yep.
same 2 weeks they told
I ripped the
everyone.
whole globe. Yeah.
And yeah, what happened from there? They never reopened. The restaurant still hasn't reopened.
Oh no.
Yeah, so they didn't make it through the pandemic. But they did. We were lucky. They were able to pay us, all of us, my entire staff, like even all the servers, all the kitchen staff. They were able to pay us for 2 months, like while we were waiting to see if we could
Ouch.
reopen, and they tried their best, like they really did. After that, just
So sad.
couldn't make it. Like they kept reaching out saying like, okay, maybe this time, but ultimately they just weren't able to do it. And I'm sure like it's expensive like to get restarted
Yeah.
in that area.
Yes. I can't even imagine. In that area, it's probably millions of dollars to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a hard one for anybody running a business of any kind. How did you go from, what was the next step after the restaurant industry during the pandemic?
So I just kind of picked up my art stuff, and people still wanted photo shoots, and I had time.
Were you doing that the whole time, like on the side?
Pretty much, like ish. Like I started working on music. I started working on fashion. So I started a streetwear brand.
What's that called?
It's called Infinitely Wavy.
That's a nice name.
Thank you.
How'd you come up with that name?
I was trying to think of a name for the longest time because I always knew like I wanted to design streetwear. I'm really kind of, and I have time, right? I had so much time and I had so many ideas, so many projects in my mind. I just had time to just kind of like try them all, right? So I was just trying to figure it out, and I was like, I don't know. And I looked down at my hand, and
Oh, nice. Rings.
I wear these every day.
Nails?
And it's the rings.
Yeah, I know. You made those?
No, one of these was a gift from my aunt. The other one I bought when I was in Bar Harbor, Maine.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was just like in one of those little shops, and I was like, I really like this. I'm going to buy it. And here we are. And my cousins and I grew up really close with my cousins. We all used to hang out all the time. And something that we always used to say is ride the wave. And it just basically means like life's a wave, ride it. Like, not that you don't have any control. You get to make all these decisions, but ultimately it's like just take what comes and run with it.
I like that philosophy. I'm very much of the same belief, but like make sure your board is intact. Maybe know if there's coral reef underneath you. Like ride the wave with caution of knowing your surroundings, but still don't ever not ride it.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. So I've got this one hoodie, and it says on the back of it, ride the wave, love the ride. Because it's like ultimately things are going to come at you. It's like you can do all the caution and the planning and the trying and the, safeguarding. But ultimately, whatever comes at you is going to come at you. And you kind of go with it and learn to love it. Because life's wild. It's going to have its ups and downs, but you ultimately love it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's really positive. And you have always lived by that?
I mean, I've tried, and I've gotten a little bit better at it recently. I feel like, lots of things have been coming at me, and life has gotten hard. And it's like, especially, being stuck in the house last year, it's like, yeah, I did get to try all these creative things, but that doesn't mean the depression didn't roll in, too.
Last year was a unique one.
Yeah.
What did you do to get through it for yourself?
Well, actually, I was just talking to one of the kitchen staff at my job, and he was just like, having a rough day. He's like, I just can't wait to go home and cry. And I told him, I was like, you know what you should try? You should try crying in the shower, because that's a great one. So to answer your question, cry in the shower.
Cry in the shower works. Cry out loud, cry at a concert, cry in the shower. I cried last night at a concert. It was great.
Yeah.
I don't hold back anymore.
You shouldn't.
No. It's a lot of men have a hard time with it. And I could say that because I'm around them all the time and I don't see them cry, but they feel feelings. So I'm like, clearly they're not letting it out fully. Music always does it to me. A certain song, it just comes out.
Oh, yeah. I could turn on a song, put on my head, just bawl. Just like lay back and just like cry. I look like that one meme where she's just laying in the bed and just crying.
I'm so bad with memes. I know like 1.5 memes. I don't know any. People are always talking about them. Like, I don't.
No, I haven't seen that.
I don't. Do you follow memes on social media, like pages?
No, I mean,
like,
not
how do
really.
you find them?
How do I get the memes? Twitter? I
don't have Twitter.
Oh, you gotta get Twitter. Twitter.
It's that is, okay, so the problem with Twitter, it is almost 8 billion different consciousness is together in free form.
Yeah.
With like no restrictions except for the arbitrary lines that Twitter puts on things. And it's just, I can't.
It's amazing.
It's amazing if you want that barely controlled chaos. But to me, I want to get those thoughts out through this.
Gotcha.
Through meeting people, a podcast, recording artists, putting on festivals, teaching students, having conversations with friends, going on hikes and talking. Like, that's where I want to get out what is going on in this world.
Yeah.
Not in a place where any feedback you get, it's hard to read context. It could be disingenuous. People like their avatars so they can say whatever they want. It's really...
Yeah, people can definitely hide behind Twitter very easily. Yeah. I think for me, the way that I kind of like sift through it is I have taken this approach of I don't get into Twitter arguments. I will not respond. No. Good. I'm not going to.
Good.
You're not going to draw me in. You can say whatever you want, and I am not going to respond if it doesn't seem like we're going to have a real conversation.
Has something happened before to you? That was like...
No, not really.
Good.
I think it's just because mostly I'm there for the laughs on Twitter. I'm just looking for all the funny
shit. Oh, so you're like looking at stuff. You're not like posting and like...
Not really. Okay. I mean, I am. Like when I'm posting, it's more just like my thoughts. Just like random thoughts that I'm having. Like I'm not like making any like super bold like statements or opinions or like anything like that.
Political
I'm just kind of like sifting through my thoughts like, time to smoke some weed, guys.
I liked it a lot more. Like, it's 8 a.m., try to smoke some weed. Than the people who are grabbing for attention, like who are saying divisive things and controversial things, political things.
Yeah.
It's very obvious. They're pandering to some followers. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I avoid that type of stuff. I think I follow like less than 100 people on Twitter.
So you're very deliberate with it.
Yeah, like I follow like a lot of friends, and a lot of my friends are just there like in the same manner that I am, just dropping jokes and like song lyrics on the time.
Nice. So Twitter, Instagram, do you do TikTok or Snapchat or anything like that?
No Snapchat. I'm trying to get into TikTok. I
can't do it either.
I don't want to.
I know.
I don't
Everyone's
want
like, you
to.
should do it. It'll help your... Oh, and then they go to this, which you probably heard all the time, like your brand. Like,
yeah.
I'm like,
do it for your brand. God. It's such good exposure.
I feel like I'm like a athletic team, like my brand. Like I need to wear a jersey or something. It's so uncomfortable sometimes.
He's wearing my brand right now.
What is it? Look at that. But we're both contradicting ourselves because like look around us. He's wearing your brand. There's stickers with my face on it, and there's my face right there, and I'm like, I'm being such a hypocrite. It doesn't like this feels right, but like pushing that narrative is a weird thing.
Yeah,
if it's real. I guess I should just accept it.
I get it, but it's like I think maybe you're like me, and you just kind of want people to like organically know who you are, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like push a personality on people. It's like, then I have to be like thinking about, okay, what personality do I want to give to the people today? And it's
the people. But then it goes, who are we to even think that? Like, how do I make the people happy?
Yeah, and I don't want to think about it.
To try not to have it be contrived, I just kind of let it all flow. Like, even doing this podcast, this conversation, there's no notes. I didn't think about anything besides I just made sure I looked up your website and went through it. Like, that's about it.
Yeah.
And actually, I remember how I found out about you through the KIP Instagram, but then I went on your website and looked at your album artwork that you did for Jean Do,
Yeah.
who I like her as an artist a lot. And I
Oh,
thought that was
dope.
really cool. How did you get that? Or how'd that happen?
So that actually, John Doe is signed with Art Club, and so I know a few people over at Art Club, and I don't know how much of the story I'm supposed to share, but nobody told me to sign an NDA. So,
Then you're good to go.
so we're good.
Yeah.
But she had a photographer shoot some stuff for her, and she was super specific about like what she wanted, and it wasn't fitting. If anybody knows that you have to have a perfect square for album art, and
Yeah.
you know things can get cut out when you start like adjusting and things like that. And I guess the photographer, they asked for the photographer to resize it, but when it was resized, it cut out some really important key elements of the art. So I just, I was like, I can help. Here's some mock-ups, guys. And she kind of loved one, and so like, we went with it.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I kind of just offered. I was like, hey, I can help.
Yeah. And that's
that you guys are having this
gang,
dilemma. I can
right? Is
help.
that gang?
Yeah, gang.
Yeah. That's cool.
Thanks.
I like that.
Yeah, and I love kind of doing album art. I've done for the stuff that I have like released of mine, like someone just like my instrumentals, like I've done all the album work for, and pitching. If you need album art, hit me up.
Yeah, tell people where they could find your film art.
So on Instagram I'm at Creative Chloé Chanel. And then my website is chloechanel.myportfolio.com. And you can see some of the album work that I've done, but then you can also see like all the other type of portraits I've done.
So photography and production for audio, anything, and then the fashion you were talking about.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about fashion. Fashion, it entices me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I didn't realize how much of a creative expression it is until I got much older. Because I always had a very specific fashion and would dress up in certain ways, but I didn't realize that it was like a true art form. Because this might make sense. When you grow up, especially as a man, in like a blue collar, like working class, anything and everything in the arts isn't real or obtainable.
Yep.
And you don't really talk about it because it's like that's not our world. We can't have that. We're not going to touch it. You're not going to make a career in it. So like you're not going to learn about it.
Yeah.
So when I started going to art school and meeting more people in my 20s, I started to see like, wait, oh, that's a form of art and that's an art form. And making sound art is an art form. I do that for fun in my basement, but I didn't know that people like go to school for this and get paid to do it and have exhibitions. Like you don't know anything about it. So now I have to like relearn and rethink everything I thought that was art. You're only told like painting, music,
and that's why it's so hard to call yourself an artist.
Exactly.
Because you think like, all right, well, I don't play a piano or I'm not a painter or a sculptor, so why should I be able to call myself an artist?
Yeah.
Because you didn't know that all these things are art forms as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. So back to fashion. Tell me more about what you do for fashion and why you do it, how you got into it.
So fashion's like a weird one because it's a hard one. It's this, I think of all the art forms that I do, it's the hardest to like claim for me because I don't know, like when I was younger, well, in college, I was a part of a fashion modeling troupe that was like founded by one of my best friends. She started it on our campus. It still exists today. Like there's still it's really cool what she was able to do. But basically she was like designing like a lot of the pieces that the girls were wearing to walk in, and she was like choreographing the like walks to make the show just like really like cool and like visually like enticing. Like she was just really good at like kind of like producing a whole show, like a whole fashion show. And so I was I walked in a show and I was like, hate this. This is not it. Like, I do not want to be a model. So, but that's kind of how I started doing photography because I would take pictures at the fashion shows that we would put on, and I would help backstage and stuff like that, help the models get dressed.
What made you, sorry to cut you off, what made you not want to be a model?
The same thing that made me stop dancing. I have a huge background in
Why'd you
dance.
just cut yourself? Like,
Because, like, a lot of people, unless you really know me, a lot of people don't know I have a, like, background in dance. Like, outside of doing, like, band all my life, I started off as a tap dancer in 5th grade. I taught dance at a Brookfield Dance Academy in Milwaukee. I taught dance at a couple of places. I was a dance teacher in Arizona. I've taught dance a lot. So
yeah, real quiet talking about dance.
Because it's weird because I don't do it anymore. And it kind of falls back to that whole thing about, like, not feeling like you can call yourself an artist in certain ways. I don't like performing. I learned that about myself. I'm not a performer. And I thought that like took a lot of things off the table for me as an artist because I don't like performing. I didn't know that I could, produce beats and write songs and not have to be a singer or a rapper. I didn't know that. But dance is a little bit harder. It's like to become a choreographer, to become somebody that people respect in the dance world, they do want to see this long list of performing. I did not want to perform. I hate performing. So that's kind of why.
And that's where modeling comes in because modeling is a weird one.
Yeah, I don't want to walk runway.
Yeah.
I don't.
Or even just posing.
It's a live performance. Posing is not so bad because I do a lot of that now.
You do a lot of posing for fun. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like, I've modeled for some, like some fashion stuff. So it's like, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with posing because...
You're not moving.
No, not in front of people.
Right. But it is still a form of performance.
In a different way. In a different way, yeah, in a different way.
It's not like you're naturally just in that place, naturally just making gestures.
Well, one of my biggest fears, anytime I got on stage to dance, anytime I got on stage to, like, walk in a show, I was like, I'm going to fall.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to fall on my face.
I have a question for you, and I hope it doesn't sound weird, but modeling has always fascinated me, not by what you would think, because people are like, oh, that's a beautiful person, but, like, the psychology behind it. Like, how does one go to themselves, I look a certain way based on whatever arbitrary line, so I can do this, and the others who pick you, how do those worlds come together personally and collectively with that photographer or an agent? And how do you, like, justify what is, like, this arbitrary look that, like, we decide is okay to be on a magazine or a runway or wearing, fashion posing for a clothing company? And that's a lot, but, like, I don't meet enough models or people who've done it to, like, ask those types of questions.
Yeah, like, who defines the standard of beauty, basically?
Yeah, yeah, and how does one become okay with knowing that you might not be your fault, it might not be your objective, but you might be messing with or hurting other people's perspective of their own, like, sexuality, their own beauty, because they're like, well, I don't look like that person.
Yeah.
That person we all agree is, like, really pretty. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I actually I'm kind of conscious about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to kind of steer away from, like, the standard of beauty because, so, I mean, that kind of takes me back to your, like, question about, like, how did you get into fashion? Like, growing up, I had, like, not a whole lot of fashion influences around me, but I had this one aunt, and she's still probably one of the most fashionable people I've ever seen in my entire life. Because she also went to fashion school, so she designed a lot of her own clothes, but then she also bought, like, designer. She's just very good at styling herself, styling other people. She just was always really just like, wow. Like, I always looked at her and I was like, oh my God, like, you are the standard of beauty that they're always talking about. And, like, you know how to dress very well and you're very, very fashionable. And even having that, I still looked at myself and I was like, I don't want to dress like that.
Yeah.
You see me right now in fucking
Ice
baggy shirt, cargo pants from the men's section at H&M, and fat ass like Doc Marten boots. I'm kind of androgynous, and that wasn't something that was easy to be growing up on the east side of Chicago in the 90s, like in a black family. So I wanted to dress more masculine, and it was hard to have. First, the influences didn't exist except for the men that I was like looking at, like, I want to kind of dress like that. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
But then also not wanting to do that and cause, like too much attention to yourself because you're a little girl. You wear your skirts and your like cute little crop tops and such like that.
It felt natural to just, it's not like a deliberate thing where you're like, I want to do that to like be different or upset people. It's like, it just felt right to want to dress that way. You didn't really have to think about it. Effortless, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it kind of all really, really began. It's like I've struggled throughout like the years kind of feeling like what you said, like looking at this standard of like women's beauty and being like, maybe I should dress more like that. So I went through these phases, of course, where I was like wearing little dress, like tight dresses and high heels. And like, I was like, I don't want to do this. But I'm doing it because it's like I'm in college and I live in a dorm and here are all of my other friends that I live in the dorm with and this is what they're wearing. So I want to make sure like I look like them. But there's these two pictures of me from college that are hilarious to me because it's like I see myself trying to fit in, but then I also see myself like I just look so confused. Like there's this picture I've got on this like cute little like tight dress and heels, and I've got on a big ass chain and a backwards hat. And I was like, who the fuck am I trying to be? I was so confused. It was like, and I just knew I was like fighting against like what I really wanted to do. And now it's just like, I just how I want to. And I think that was the whole premise of wanting to start like a clothing line is that like I want people to dress how they want. So you're not going to find a men's and a women's section on my website. You're just going to find clothing. And it's like whatever you want to wear that. Like if you like that, like if you see a huge oversized sweatshirt and you're a girl and you want to wear it, buy it. If you see a crop top and you're a guy, you want to wear it, buy it. Like I'm not going to who am I to tell you what you should buy? I want you to buy my clothing if you like it, but it's not for any specific gender. It's like not for any specific person. It's for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, and so I wanted to create clothing that I like, that I would wear, and whoever else likes it and wants to wear it, they should do that too.
That's really cool. I'm going to buy some clothing from you. I like that. I'm a big fan of not, like, being androgynous, like not having specific things for my gender. I love colors and patterns. I'll wear pink if it catches my eye, it makes me, like, gravitate towards it. Yeah. I'll wear it. It doesn't matter. The color, the pattern. Most of the outfits or shirts I wore from 16 till I got a job with a steady salary, 28. For 12 years, it was, $5 women, air quotes, women shirts at the thrift store. Yeah. Like I'd go in, I would ignore the man section. I would just go straight because women had 50 times the clothes to choose from, first of all.
Yep.
And way cooler patterns and unique designs. Like the men's section was boring. It was like a flannel, like a blue shirt, a green shirt, just solid and basic. And I'd go over there and there's this weird paisley with this weird thing and this like handkerchief that's attached to it that wraps around like a scarf. I'm like, this is awesome. I love all these things. These are forms of expression. I love the patterns. I love the fact that they go well with that. And I got used to it, and I really enjoyed it. And I can't find that with men's clothes. It's a little bit easier now these days. You have to spend more money. Yeah. You have to go to like more unique fashion companies that will do that. But your standard stuff, your more like mid-tier stuff that's affordable, not so much.
Yeah. No, and I completely get that because when I walk into a store, I don't care about the sections. I'm shopping around the entire store. I'm going to look at whatever catches my eye in this store. So if it's in the men's section, there are times I've gone into H&M and bought nothing from the women's section, but I've left like spending $100.
Do people ever ask you, is this like for your boyfriend or your dad or your brother?
Yeah, sometimes I was buying a suit once, and I was kind of embarrassed, so I did ask for help. And the guy was like, "Oh, okay, is this like for your son?" And I was like, "It's for me."
My son, how old do you think I am? This is a grown shirt.
But he was like, "You can get it custom tailored. Like if you bring your kid or bring whomever in, he can, I can measure him." I was like, "Well, can you measure me?"
It is funny.
It's for me.
So that's the only time that's happened to you like that?
Some like it'll happen every once in a while, like if I'm buying like stuff. But I think now people are kind of just like, who cares? Like,
yeah,
I think people don't care as much. Like,
if you're in the right place.
Yeah,
if
you're in the right
shopping
place.
in like a major city, probably not.
Right.
Yeah, if you go to a Kohl's in the middle of nowhere like Iowa, they might be like, "Ma'am, I don't know if you should."
It's like,
that.
"Well, do you know what size he needs?"
That was good. Do you know what size your son is? Around here, the ladies like to have kids at 15, so it makes sense that he would be full grown at 30 for you. I assume too much, but it's true though. Fashion. I want to go back to music production. When did you start getting into that?
So that one I was confused about for a while because I didn't know what it was that I wanted to do. Have you ever like experienced that? Like you want to do something, like you want to get involved in something, but you don't know what it is.
Depends on how much weed you smoke. No, that has never happened to me, ever.
All right, I'll explain.
Yeah, you should elaborate.
So I was like, all right, it only happens when it's something that you're just like you're not knowledgeable about, like that nobody's ever taught you before.
Okay.
So I was thinking to myself, I didn't know I wanted to make music, but I was like, who makes the beats? Like, how do the beats become the beats? Like, I'm going to these festivals and I'm really loving all of this music, right? Because I particularly like house music, like electronic house music. And so I'm at these festivals, I'm like, is it the DJ that is making this sound like this? Maybe I want to be a DJ. So then I started doing that and I was like, no, you don't have enough control over what's coming out of this, like, or the sounds that are being created. Like, you get to play with the effects and you get to play with the drops and stuff like that, but you don't have the control that I'm looking for. Who am I looking for? And then I started, doing my research and I found out that I was looking for the producer.
Yeah.
I was looking for the person who creates this from scratch.
Yeah.
Because then they get to make all of the decisions about the instruments. But you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So it took me a while. So I did start DJing, and then I realized that's not what it was that I was looking to do. I wanted to do beat production. So I ended up reaching out to pandemic times again were very helpful when, everybody's kind of just chilling. So I reached out to a couple of producers that I knew, and I was like, hey, can you show me how to do this? And they were all happy to help. And so, they set me up with all my first, I got my, MPC, my little beat pad, and I got headphones, and, I got all the DAWs that I needed. Everybody's like,
which
here's
DAW
the
do you
DAW.
use?
So I started with FL, like most people do. Now I've got Logic Pro.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've used Reason, I've used Pro Tools, but what I have currently is Logic Pro.
Have you used Ableton?
Actually, Ableton's the first DAW that I ever used.
Okay, because based on what you were saying, usually that's what people go to first.
Yeah.
Ableton Live.
That was the first DAW I did use. But I like Logic. It's cool. It gives me some, I like it. I like the flow of it.
Very intuitive, very much.
Yeah.
That's what I've been using for about a decade, so I feel you on that. Yeah, you're good. We're talking to somebody else who's leaving the room. It's a good place to start if you want to be able to do beats and more production, like what you want to do, but also still do engineering if you want to record.
Exactly.
Music.
Yeah, and that's where I'm headed now. I feel comfortable producing beats. I feel comfortable writing lyrics, and now I really want to learn a lot more engineering. So that that was the reason for picking Logic. Like, okay, this is a nice like intro way to get into, you know, recording my voice or recording other people's voices. And
yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. I respect that. I've been doing that a long time. That's what I teach. So I can,
oh, cool.
if you have any questions
Oh,
off mic,
hell
I can help you
yeah.
with anything.
Hey, now if I'm texting you like, okay, now how do I do this in
Yeah,
Logic?
feel free to reach out.
Oh,
I can
bet.
even send you a bunch of stems for you to practice on like mixing and stuff. I
Oh,
have
cool.
thousands. I got a lot.
Yeah, no, that I would super appreciate that because yeah, I definitely think I want to move into engineering. Like I definitely want to be able to record sessions and mix and master.
It's fun. The whole world of it, like even understanding the differences on the superficial side of it. Most people don't know the difference between engineering, mixing, and mastering, and then production, which is like the underlying fabric that keeps it all together.
Yep.
For those listening, and you may or may not know all this, but like engineering / recording is the art and the technical side of capturing the sound. Nothing else. Just how are you capturing it? What instrument, what acoustic space, what part of the room, what microphone, the angle of incidence, which means the angle in which the microphone's facing the object it's taking in based on its polar response pattern, the sensitivity of the microphone, the type of microphone, condenser, ribbon, dynamic. Are you off axis? How far away are you? Are you doing a lot of room tone versus direct sound? These are all engineering factors. And a good engineering artist or audio engineer sees the client and the talent at hand and knows right away what they should do, what microphone should they use.
Yeah.
Like right now we're doing a podcast. I wouldn't want to use a certain microphone over another one. This one's really great for this because of the windscreen, because the diaphragm is an inch or two away from the windscreen, so you have enough distance when you're on it to still have clarity.
Yeah.
It looks cool. It's fashionable. It has this cable. It's become the podcast microphone.
Yes.
It picks up voice really well in the high frequencies, so it sounds really nice when you listen back. It sounds very transparent and clear. So that's like the engineering side of it. Then the mixing is, or / blending, it's you're taking everything.
Yeah.
Everything you captured, everything that was given to you, and you're making it come together in one fluid, complex waveform that gives you all the information in a stereo field. And that is a whole nother art form because it's about balance, and it could be very subjective and objective. Recording, like capturing, like engineering could be very objective because you don't want to clip, but you also don't want to be too quiet. So there is really a lot of scientific information you should be taking into consideration while doing it, whereas mixing becomes very subjective. Is it rock? Is it hip-hop? Is it house music?
Yeah,
all
it's
these
like
are
how do you
factors.
want it to sound
Yes.
ultimately?
And that's where it gets really creative.
Yeah.
And that's why people lose it because they get too in their head like, I don't know, does it sound right? I'm going for this, I'm going for that.
I mean, even just like tuning instruments, like creating a beat, I'm like that. I'm like, is this hi-hat? What is it doing? Like, and I'll play with it a bunch. Like, I'll play with the reverb. I'll play with the, you know, just the way it sounds, like, you know, taking some of the frequencies out or adding some back in, and I can do that for hours.
Yeah, and that's like the production side of it.
Yeah.
That's where like production's underneath all of it. Like if you can look at it on a spectrum, it's like engineering, mixing, mastering, and production goes underneath all of it because you can use production at every part of it. You could take a microphone, just put it in front of a guitar amp, or you can use that production mindset, like let's put the guitar amp at the bottom of the stairwell and put the microphone at the top of the stairwell facing down so it's getting all the reflections bouncing off each individual staircase.
Yeah.
And now you're still recording guitar with an amplifier and a person playing and a microphone, but now you just used production. You changed everything about how it's coming in.
Yep.
Instead of just putting it right against the speaker and calling it a day. So that's like what you just said. Like, yeah, you can record a hi-hat, and then you can mix the hi-hat, but what if I want to change the timbre of the hi-hat with equalization and compression and reverb and panoramic, moving it around the stereo field, quiet in the mix, distant, tinny, a lot of sibilance. There's so many things you can do.
Yeah, there's so many ways you can change it, and it does get like really meticulous, but it does allow you to be so creative and like just like I think maybe we nerd out about it, but it's like
I don't nerd out about it. I don't know what you're
hearing
talking about.
something like the way it was like originally like recorded, and then hearing the like finished product, like most people don't hear that. They just hear the finished product on their streaming service or their download or whatever. But it's crazy the change. Like when you're in the, like, I was hanging out with a friend of mine who's an engineer, and he was mixing this track for a band that he works with, and he was just playing me the different like stems, so just all the different recordings, and then the finished product, and you're just like, it's so much more impressive when you
Yeah.
when you hear where it started and then hear where it ended up, and you look at a person, you're like, you're one of the most creative people I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you can take this weird thing and accumulate it to some other art form. It's like many art forms in one. And the best part about it, if you reverse engineer the whole thing from when it comes out of a streaming service, which by the way is a whole nother art form, because
my God.
who are the technologists that created that for us to put it through? Like, it goes far.
It goes deep.
It goes deep. It's not like, oh yeah, there's just like rich people created this thing. It's like, no, we need it because our art form can now be heard in a high quality format, which is amazing.
From anywhere.
From anywhere around the world. But then you can reverse engineer. Then there's mastering, then the mixing, the production, then the engineering. But then the engineer, how they learn how to do this stuff. But then the artist, where they come up with the gear, the engineers who designed the gear that's being used to record. Like, it goes far.
It's
and then
deep.
That bedroom that person sat in when they wrote that poetry that they wanted to turn into lyrics and put over a beat and rap over it or create a folk song over it. It doesn't really matter. It goes so far. And when you know that whole spectrum from an idea to it coming off of Spotify and the million steps that it takes to get to that, it's mind-blowing.
It is. Like, people don't realize
Like,
there's so many steps. It's such a process.
So I hate when they just degrade it to like, I like this song. It's cool. It makes me, it's catchy. And like, that's it. It just ends there. And like, do you not realize everything else that went into it? The
There's
record
so
label that put it out.
much.
Like, there's the cover artwork, the photographer who took the photo for someone's album artwork, because that is the image that is portrayed in which they promote it on the streaming service. Like, you need all of it.
It's what you see when you go look it up. Like,
yeah, you need all of
click
it.
on it. Yeah.
You need all of it. It shows how symbiotic we all really are. And that's why I say it all the time. And I probably should stop. But every pathway that people have in life is necessary. Every pathway from what we do, from people who are running a restaurant to people who are in a service industry, someone who's a photographer, fashion. Everyone wears clothes. Everyone eats food. Everyone looks at things. Everyone listens to stuff. Everyone podcasts. These things are very necessary. We all love them. So to put certain ones on pedestals based on the arbitrary value we place on them, based on the amount of money they bring back to us, is where we place it. And it's not really right, because there's so much promising people out there and so many great careers that get stunted or halted just because it's not the right one. They're not a doctor.
Yep.
They're not a lawyer. And therefore, we don't take them seriously. Like, oh, you're just an artist. The artist that we have a hard time admitting to.
It's like, but we do so much work. Like, believe us.
And that's my boss, or he was my boss. Now he's just a colleague of mine. But he's been teaching, and he's tenured at ISU for Illinois State University for 20 years. Very creative and smart guy. And I had this conversation with him recently, maybe in the summer, about why artists and faculty who teach in the arts are paid so poorly relative to those in science and STEM. And he said it's our own fault because we have a hard time placing our own value on it. So why in the world would anybody else outside of that umbrella see it any other way? Like, if we don't have the faith to have value in what we do, then why would they? They're just going to base off that. So it's almost like we need a couple of years of the collective of people doing things in the arts to like be more bold and brave with what we call ourselves.
Yeah.
And owning our creativity and being like, instead of saying like, yeah, I'll do that for free. You're like, no, I'll do it. No, it's $100. I'm gonna do it for $100.
Yeah.
Or no, it's $1,000. Like, put value on it, and you'd be amazed how much people start to go like, oh, okay, like, you're for real. Like, this is legit. And then when I'm sure it's happened to you, that eureka moment when you set a number, and they actually said okay, and you're like,
yeah,
I'm like a real paid artist right now.
Like, oh my God, it feels so wild.
It feels
like,
weird.
Yeah,
Very
I
weird.
just literally had one of those recently, like last month, like where it's like, all right, here's a number, and they're like, okay. Wait, seriously?
Does this happen to you? Does your whole life flash of all the people ever that were like, you can't get paid to do that? Like,
yeah, that's
it
too
just
much
hits
money.
you.
Like, why would you be charging that much? Like, that's ridiculous.
No one's gonna pay you to do that.
Yeah.
And then you say that number, and the person goes okay, and they actually pay it, and you go, wow, like,
Yeah.
not only was everyone else wrong, I was wrong too.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could do this.
Oh,
you
and
know?
then if you even go a step further, maybe that person or that company or whomever said yes to that number, they send you a follow-up and they say, this was great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And then you really don't know how to ask.
Yeah, this
It's
was
just
great.
like,
Can we? And then we referred you to somebody else.
Yeah.
And then another person reached out, and you're like, oh my God.
and now all of a sudden you've expanded your portfolio. You've built your book of business up, and it's just like, how did we get here?
It's trippy. It's trippy when you
Yeah.
get that email and you don't know who they are. And even in the way we are speaking now, how we met each other, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. You get that email, you don't know who they are, and they go, hey, I heard about you through so-and-so. They told me about you, and we really liked your work. So now they liked your work, and someone else were speaking about you.
Yeah.
Without you being around, they had no reason to say anything.
None.
And they still gave you work because they enjoyed what you did.
Yep. All of a sudden, it's like word of mouth has spread and people are praising what you do. Like, people don't realize that even like the smallest compliments, like that may seem small, that may not seem like a big deal, like really speak volumes to you. Like, someone recently told me, based on some work that I did, they're like, oh, I saw this work that you did for, this other group, and it was really good. And he said to me, I love the way that you capture Black skin. And I almost cried.
Wow.
Because that's like, I don't know, like, if you saw, like, any of the, like, the issues that people were having, like, with Simone Biles being shot poorly, like, in poor light, and it, like, not, like, highlighting her skin well. It just was just shot poorly because this person did not know how to shoot Black skin well. Like, they just didn't. And so, like, to hear a compliment like that from somebody, and it's like, I haven't reached the levels of shooting for Vogue quite yet. But hey, y'all, if you need me, I'm very good at shooting.
You should
So
hire
he
her.
doesn't like, that guy that said that to me didn't realize that, like, that makes me feel bold enough to be like, hey, Vogue, you guys want to hire me?
That's a really beautiful compliment for a lot of reasons that I'll never understand, But I could see how that must be really impactful.
Yeah.
So, like, technically speaking, what are some of the differences of what you would want to do to capture Black skin better? This is from a place of ignorance.
Yeah, so it's about lighting. It's about using lighting. I mean, whenever you're shooting portraits in studio, you're going to have to use lighting. And one of the things that can happen with Black skin is it can be shot in a way that makes it look kind of like ashy, or it can be shot in a way that makes the person appear lighter than what they are. But there are ways, like, there are ways to adjust the light to put, to light people's skin that you're not taking away from it or adding unnecessary, like, things to it. It's hard to explain, but photographers know what I'm talking about.
I'm picking up on what you're saying.
Yeah, and so, like, you want to make sure that the exact color of a person's skin is what's, like, really coming through, as opposed to, like, not giving them enough light. And so now you're, especially like a darker person, you're going to lose a part of their face if you're not giving it enough light. Or, the shadows can cause issues, and where you're only getting half of something lit as opposed to an entire, like, face lit. And like I said, I really personally don't like the ones where, the exposure's too high and you're, like, making someone, like, appear lighter, like, much lighter. And it's like, I feel like that's intentional. Like, that's purposeful. It's like, no, like, if this person has a darker skin tone, show that skin tone. It's okay. Because there are people that look like that person that would like to see themselves represented as well, without you taking their skin color and making it appear lighter than what it is.
Right. That's definitely tricky, and I could see it with certain skin tones of brown and black becoming harder. Because when you're more of the white skin tone, light works really well with white things. Light is white.
Right.
So, and that's just inherent. And, like, it's not, that's just the way it is. So I could see that being tricky. Yeah.
It can be tricky.
That is a really nice compliment, though.
That's what I thought. It's like it can be tricky, but if you do the work, like it can be done, and it can be done well, you know.
Sure. So who they hired to photograph her, one of the biggest athletes?
That's what I was saying. I was like, I think sometimes people just have their fallbacks. Like it's like, all right, well, we always work with this photographer, as opposed to seeking out someone who can, shoot this skin tone or shoot, darker people without any issue.
Right.
So it's like, don't always go with your in-house photographer if that's not what they're good at.
Yeah.
Find someone who can really capture what you're going for.
Out of those art forms, photography, music production, and fashion, those are like the main three things you...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else, or are those like the main
Those are like the main things. I would say everything that I do kind of falls into those main three categories.
Got it. Little crossovers.
Yeah. So like I do video.
Okay.
I've shot some shorts, and I'm trying to get my feet wet with shooting music videos. We're kind of inching our way in there. But that all falls under photography, I feel like.
Yeah, it starts to cross over videography.
Yeah.
Knowing how lenses and the settings of each camera and lighting work starts to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the three of those, then, which one what's your favorite out of the three? Like, if you had to pick one. If someone's like, you can make a living for the rest of your life off one, where do you go?
I don't know. It's hard to pick.
I know.
I think I've made up my mind so much that I'm not going to pick. That it's
you need
so
all three.
Hard. Yeah, I need all three.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I learned about myself in my 20s is that there are so many things that you can be good at. And you're not necessarily always going to just love one, right? And so it's important to not shut out those other things, just because a lot of us grow up thinking, oh, we have to pick one job and stick with it, and then we're going to retire, and then we're going to have a good life. Like, no, that's not the reality of life. The reality of life is if you enjoy something and you can make money from it, do it. If you enjoy something and you can't make money from it, do it. If you enjoy it, just do it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I love photography. I love music, and I love designing. And all I've been trying to do for the last, year, 2 years, is figure out how I can make all three of those things work together.
Yeah.
So, like, when I do, like, promo videos, like, that people ask me to do for, like, branding for them, it's like, can I score it myself? And they're like, yeah, go for it. Great.
That's
so now I
awesome.
get to add music production to the videography that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So I'm always trying to find the crossover so that I don't ever have to give up any of them.
Right? No, you make a great point, and I really relate to you on that one. I'm doing it right now as we speak. I love recording.
Yeah.
I love videography and camera work. I love conversations, and I love learning things from other artists, and bam, we're doing all at
Doing
once.
it all together.
Yeah, so
you're finding the crossover.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything, and then the recording studio and a music fest. It's everything I like to do. I keep adding to it, and you realize there's a lot of crossover. Some things take longer than others. This is a hobby of mine. This is on the side, and it's fun. But I couldn't give an answer just like you couldn't give an answer. You realize the answer is I need all of it.
Yeah.
I'm not me. I'm not Chloe without all these things.
Exactly. All these things that I really enjoy. I need to be able to do them.
Yeah. Does it ever sadden you when you meet individuals who won't do anything that they enjoy? And if they do, they're kind of resentful because it might be a hobby, but it's not quite what they expected, or they want more out of it, or maybe because they're not getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
They don't see it to be fruitful. I don't know, kind of just resentment towards anything and everything that others do that is fun and creative.
Yeah.
Did you ever notice that?
I have noticed that, yeah. But I get it because,
sure.
I could completely understand it. With dance, I was so mad at it for a long time. And it's you saw how I was it was hard for me to talk about
you
earlier.
got nervous to speak about it.
Yeah, because it's it feels like I did something for so long and gave up on it.
Oh.
But it's it took, until like recently to think about it in a different way. And the way I had to think about it is I like dancing. So what do I do? Every once in a while, I'll go take a couple of dance classes with friends and I have a good time and I get to get it out. What do? I go to concerts and I dance and I go to festivals and I dance. And so it's like I just had to learn that like I am okay with dance being one of those things that I don't make money from, that I still really enjoy, but it's just something that I do as a hobby. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to make money from all of your hobbies.
Yeah.
You're not going to.
You're not going to.
You're just not going to.
You're not going, and that's fine.
You can really love something and still not make money from it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You just got to know, like, this is a thing that I like that I don't make money from. That doesn't mean I shouldn't do it.
Yeah, you should. The best job or jobs in the world is just doing what you love, and then out of nowhere, people want to pay you for it.
Yeah.
But do it anyway.
Exactly.
Like, there is no money attached to anything going on in this very room right now. It's just a complete side passion project that I just do for fun, and I just love doing it.
Yeah.
If I met you randomly at a concert, a show, a party, or a gallery or whatever, and you were willing to sit around and talk, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah.
No mics or cameras or lights included. It wouldn't really change anything. And anybody who knows me knows that. And I'm sure anybody who knows you knows that, like, she'd make clothes or produce music or take photographs anyway.
Yeah.
Regardless of an Instagram or a paycheck or clients or collaborating, you would do it regardless.
Yeah.
And that's a really beautiful thing that a lot of people have. They just won't go for it. It's that extra step. Like, what was the leap you took to just go into it? Was it inherent? Did it take a lot of courage? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, no, it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
No.
Like, I mean, the process started while I was still teaching, like I started thinking about all of the creative things that I really, really enjoy. And I just kind of made the decision like, all right, this is something I like. Let's try doing it. Like, let's not have huge expectations about what it's going to look like, what it's going to be like, if it's going to pay anything. Let's just try it and see where it goes. So I sat down, I wrote it down. Like, I've got a bunch of notebooks. If you don't have a bunch of notebooks where you just doodle and write dreams and stuff like that, get some.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm not saying I wrote down like these super crazy specific lists. Like, no, I just doodled. I would just thought about like, what do I like? What do I want? What do I not want? What do I enjoy doing? And I just kind of made different like little lists, and they're not beautiful. Like, they just are. And then I kind of, and then that just helps me think through things. Like, okay, I like this. How can I try this? I like this. How can I try this? Okay, I like photography. Let's purchase a camera, right? Let's do the research. What are they saying are the best, cheapest?
Cheapest is key.
Cheapest. What are the best, cheapest cameras that I can get that are still good quality? And I still have that first camera that I got, and it still shoots great quality.
What was it?
Yeah. It's a little Nikon D3400. I think it cost maybe like $500. And I know that sounds like a lot, but if you're really trying to get a DSLR, you kind of have to spend something like that at least. And you work your way up from there. And that little one, you throw a 50 millimeter on that, I'm going to show you some great portraits that I can
What is your
catch
favorite
on.
lens in millimeters for photography?
I love a 50.
And why a 50? On a full frame or a crop?
On a full frame.
Full frame. So
Yeah.
what makes you like a 50? For those listening, sorry to cut you off. 50 millimeter is the lens. Full frame and crop, they're different, but a full frame is like the tried and true image that you would want. And that's just, we're talking about the sensor of the image size. Okay.
So it's one of those things that if you have a 50 millimeter lens and you're just like, I don't know what I'm going to capture throughout the day, I just need something. It's not heavy. It's a little guy, and you can shoot indoors, you can shoot outdoors, and it is going to give you some great quality. I personally prefer my 50 millimeter manual because if when I have my glasses on, my eyes sharp. And I can capture some really great portraits with a manual 50 millimeter, like some really like indoor, outdoor portraits. It's just one of those ones that...
Do you like the narrow window of it? Is that what does it for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think It's got some good like blur on it, you know. So it's gonna give you like a really clear picture of like, if say you're shooting a model. I think that's what it's best for. Like if you're shooting people, you're going to get really clear on their faces. So like when you're in editing, you're just doing very minimal like smoothing, and like it's just great. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's just great, but I cannot claim that little tidbit of advice. I'm going to shout out my friend Leanne, who's a photographer. She told me this. Like, I was doing a photo shoot with her one day. She's been shooting longer than I have. I was doing a photo shoot with her one day, and she gave me that little gem. She's like, get a 50 millimeter lens. She's like, it'll be the best purchase that you've ever made. She's like, it's worth it. It's not going to break the bank. It's little. You could take it everywhere. And she was absolutely right.
Yeah. No, I love 50.
Right.
I have a 50, a couple as well. And
yeah.
I agree. 50. I've heard 35 is like the most standard as far as...
The 35 is nice too.
Like as far as just perfect imaging of what you're putting into it, what you get out of it. It's very transparent. There's no rounding of curves. It's not narrow. It's like, I guess the way to put it is that it's the exact way maybe we see our eyes work.
Yeah.
I think that's what I've heard.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is.
I like the 35. The 35 is nice.
Yeah, and then once you get, like I have a 24, but on the full frame, it starts to round off on the corners. It's so wide. Like I could be right here and just see like the whole room.
Yeah, the 35 I think is wide enough, but not too wide.
Yeah, you don't want that rounding. As soon as you get like the curves bending.
Yeah.
But on the crop, it doesn't bend. The 24, but only on the full frame does it bend.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about that. I just know that's what's going on. I've never had like a professional portrait. Like I never had a professional photographer on myself.
Oh,
yeah. I wonder what that's like. I mean, I know you have.
Yeah.
Is it when you do it, what is the purpose of you doing it? Just for fun, to have your own work? Is it for promotional like material?
I think I've been asked like, so I have a lot of photographer friends, and so they'll ask like, can I shoot you? Like, cause you know, if they want portfolio work and stuff like that, and I'm really chill, so I'm like, sure. So a lot of it's that, like a lot of it's like just being a practice model for my other photographer friends. And then I've got a couple of friends who have like clothing brands as well, and they're like, model my clothes. Okay, sure.
Deal.
Fine.
Yeah, I get to sit here in the limelight, not do anything.
Yeah. My one photographer friend who I shoot with, like who I've shot with a few times, Janito Photo, shout her out at Janito Photo. But I like shooting with her when she's like doing portfolio work, because I just feel like I get to be my true, just like androgynous self in all of her work. She loves it. So I'm like, I get to be me. Like, so I love shooting with her.
That's cool.
She's like, wherever you want. Great.
Now, are these in like traditional studios? It's just anywhere?
Sometimes it's studios, sometimes it's outdoors. I love a good like photo walk. Like I love when I am doing my own portfolio work and I'm like reaching out to people. So I don't always just reach out to the people who are like models by trade. Like if I see you on Instagram and I like your aesthetic, I might be in your DMs like, hey, would you want to model for me? And then, you know, it's a TFP. You get free work. I get portfolio work, and it's, you know, it's a good trade-off. But I lost my train of thought. But I love a good photo walk. Like, I'm always down. Like, I love when people are down to just, like, hop in the car and we ride around and find some dope spots.
Oh, I see.
Like, yeah. And just, like, oh, that looks cool. Like, let's go pose up in there. You want to go break into this train yard with me?
What is it with artists and we justify breaking the law like it's nothing?
It's art.
As long as it's for art and you go like, well, I'm not, like, affecting anything. You'll do it. Like, I've trespassed to record stuff. Now I got a permit to record, you know, videos and music. And you're just like, I don't know, like, I'm not doing anything wrong, right?
Yeah, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
100%. I when I was in Brooklyn, New York in August filming bands, and I met this one guy we were going to record a solo acoustic session, and other people were going to meet us there. And he's like, yeah, I have this friend. We can go on this rooftop and record. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't think anything of it. And we're up there recording. I'm like, okay. And just like, it's really hot. You see, we're in Williamsburg. You see the New York skyline. It was really amazing.
Dope.
Yeah, it was so cool. And the artist, his other friends are showing up. We're hanging out there. And all of a sudden, like, these old guys just come up. They're really nice. But they're just like, what are you guys doing up here? And we're just like, just recording. And they're like, you guys can't be here. And we're just like, oh. And they're like, well, after you finish, you guys got to go. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, man, to be an adult who's dressed well with like nice equipment, people treat you so differently. If I was younger, and I had a huge I had a huge curly hair like fro type thing. It was a mess, and I wore the nastiest clothes. They would have been yelling at me, calling the police.
Yeah, but if you look important and act important, people think you're important. Yes. I learned that.
Yes, they do. They do.
If you just like walk, like you know where you're going, you know what you're doing, like you're supposed to be there, like yeah,
it's pretty remarkable. Having a haircut and grooming yourself and wearing like nicer clothes that don't have stains and holes and tucking in your shirt, walking with confidence, holding equipment. People are just like, oh, sir. They still call you sir. You're breaking the law now. Sir, can I help you? What are you doing here, sir? When I was a kid, they'd be like, what are you punks doing here? Stay here. I'm calling the police.
Oh, yeah. That even still happens, too. Me and my friend, we were on a photo walk, and we were in Lincoln Park, and we walked past this window, and it was like, oh, my God. You can see the way the light is coming through the window, and there's this cool chandelier in the back. I was like, all right, I'm going to climb up there into the window, and you're going to get the shot. And then out comes the doorman, and he's like, you guys can't be here. And I'm like, get the shot. Get the shot.
But he's not going to do anything. You want to know why he's not going to do anything? Because you're to him, he's perceiving you as just women. Like, women can get away with a lot more when it comes to, I'm not going to lie. Like, I can't tell how many times a woman's like, hey, I got pulled over, but I never get tickets. And I go like, do you cry? And yeah, well, of course you don't get tickets. Like, it's not even fair. I don't even want to talk about how many tickets I've got.
Right.
Yeah, I know I'm right. Because, and I'm not judging. I think it's kind of funny because there's many situations where women should, we don't have to go there right now, but it's fine. It's fair. It's just kind of funny. Like, just own it. Be like, yeah, you smile.
It's funny that you say that because I'm like, wow, I'm that person. Yeah. I have definitely been pulled over.
And you didn't get a ticket.
Yeah.
Or a warning or whatever.
You get the warning. There's one time. This isn't even fair. I know that this one's not fair. There's one time I got pulled over, and he made me get out and everything and, like, walk the line, and he's like, you shouldn't be driving. And I was like, you're right, I shouldn't be driving.
At least you're honest.
And then he goes, and then I was like, but sir, like, my house is literally 2 blocks. I was like, look at my license. I live right there.
Was it really?
Yeah. And he's like, I'll follow you to your place to make sure you don't hurt yourself.
I would be cuff in the back seat, and he would say, too bad.
He
so
followed
sad.
me home, made sure I went in the house.
Oh, my God. Made sure you went in the house. Clapped for you. Good job when you got there. Wow. Yeah. No.
So, yeah, I know it's not fair sometimes.
There's a trade-off. I know a lot of guys will, like, complain about this. I'm like, hey, if that means, like, they get away with a little bit more in those situations, what about all the times that they don't get away with anything because of being belittled or hurt by men? So, it's a weird trade-off. It's not really, you can't compare them, but I don't really care because in the grand scheme of things, it's not really fair across the board anyway.
Exactly. Life's not fair, kids. Sorry.
No, it's not. It's not. It should be, but it's not. And especially when it comes to skin color and gender. Certainly is not fair. Have you run into anything of issues like going into the arts, being a black woman? Or that's not the right way to put it, because you are who you are, and it's natural to be who you are.
Yeah.
So you might not notice a lot of it, but maybe it's because you've been noticing it your whole life that it's become normalized to you.
Sometimes it is hard to, like, notice, and sometimes you're not sure, I think that's one of the hardest parts. And, like, not even just in the arts, just in general. Like, just sometimes just those microaggressions, just, like, not being sure. Like, for example, yesterday, I was at work, and granted, we wear masks. But I would like to preface this with the other girl that was a part of the situation. she was wearing a costume because it was Halloween and I was not. Like, so this woman comes up and she just starts talking at me. She's not talking to me. She's talking at me. She's like, "Did you refund my money?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, what are you talking about?" I work at a restaurant right now, part-time. She's like, "Did you refund my money?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, what are you talking about?" She's like, "You said you were going to put the money back on my card." And I was like, "I'm sorry, ma'am. I know I may look like the only other black girl that is here right now with curly hair, but that was not me." Not me. She clearly has on a costume, but okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so just like even like, so sometimes it's not huge things. It's not that. It's just the tiny little microaggressions of just like, oh, well, you must be the same person because you are also black with curly hair. Like, but it's like not even taking the time. And I had that happen in college. This woman I can like write off and like not care about. But I had a professor in college whose class I went to every week. There was me and one other black girl who was about a foot shorter than me with dreadlocks down her back. And she would always call us the wrong names. And when I said something about it, she told me, "Well, maybe you two shouldn't sit next to each other."
Oh my God. That's a bad response. Yeah, that's hard.
So yeah,
It's a lot of little things that accumulate over your whole life.
It's not always like big stuff, right? It's a lot of little stuff. It's a lot of little stuff.
That's not what you hear about in life on the news, social media. They focus on these big things, these like cutting edge, just deep things that are just really in your face, or a great slogan, a great headline, instead of the little things like that, just very passive things.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's the little things that are important to talk about a little bit more. It's like not to harp on the little things, but it's like when you're trying to explain to somebody like what are microaggressions, what are these small instances of racism that you experience, because those are the things that are going to change people in their everyday lives, right? You know, they can look at a TV screen and be like, "Well, I'm not like pulling over somebody just because they look a certain color," or "I'm not crossing the street because I see somebody that looks a certain color," right? It's not those things. You may not be doing those big things, but you may be doing these tiny little things, like walking up to a black person and being like, "Oh my God, I'm going to put my hands in your hair." And it's like, don't touch me. I don't know you. Like,
people do that?
Yes.
It's not the first time I've heard that. And every time I hear it, I'm like, what do you, like, who just goes up to someone and just touches them?
Precisely.
What is this? It's human hair. Yeah. No, I don't.
Little things. It's the little stuff.
I can't imagine. It's so hard to like unlearn a lot when you grow up in, the southwest suburbs of Chicago. It's working class, blue collar, old school, a lot of undereducated people of like truly ignorant of a lot of things going on, of the bubbles they live in. And I don't fully blame them. It's the education system they came up with. It's the financial situation they came up with.
Yep.
They were taught the wrong things in the 60s and 70s. And I grew up with that, like my grandparents and parents. And it's so hard to unlearn the little tiny things.
Yeah.
It's the smallest details of how even the language you use, you might not even have malicious intent. You're just using poor language to describe something. And that could be offensive. The littlest thing. But mostly it's been just listening and hearing out people instead of waiting for your time to talk, and doing that across the board, not just a white person or a black person, but all people, and a woman too. Women constantly are spoken over. They constantly don't get the same voice that a man does all the time.
Yeah.
And it's across all industries. And it's sad. And once you think about it and you become aware of it and you listen, you realize how bad it actually is. It's like real. They'll just be, wait, like, no, like, just wait. What do you think? And they'll ask Bob what he thinks. And as soon as Carol speaks, they'll just be like, "I don't know, Carol, are you sure?" They'll question her.
Yeah.
Her and Bob are saying the same thing. I'm giving weird examples, but
no, I know
happens.
what you mean. Yeah.
And I've heard this. This is not my own saying. I've heard this from people on your side of the microphone. A lot of women have said this, doing this show and working with artists over and over again for years. students I have, I start to see it. And the more I see it, the more I sit back and listen, the more obvious it becomes. And it's super heavy and really weird that not enough people notice it or do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that a lot of women in your circle and in the world in which you encompass, they have a lot of those same stories?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in almost every profession, um, I've dealt with, like men, and it can come from gender, it can come from age. Like I worked with a teacher once. I was made lead English teacher, so that means I was the person like kind of like administering the curriculum and things like that to the rest of the English staff. He thought I was too young, too like too girl, too black. I don't know, but he was not happy. And so like I mean and just women being passed over for jobs. I've found out that I've had exact credentials as somebody else doing the exact same thing, a guy, and he was making more money than I was, and I presented it, but it was a whole process that I had to go through. It was like I hit them up professionally. And I was like, it's come to my attention that, this is the going pay for this position apparently, and so I would like to receive that. No. All right, well, here's my lawyer. Like, you have to escalate things. Like having to escalate things because you're not being given the same treatment. You're not being given the same pay as someone who you have similar credentials doing a similar job to, and having to go to that extreme to get it taken care of.
Mm-hmm. What happened with that when you presented the lawyer?
They eventually gave me the money that I asked for.
What was their reasoning?
Well, like I think they assume that you might not escalate it that, far. You ask, we said no, and that's the end of it. Like, no, I'm going to take it further because I think that I have a case. And, my lawyer contacted them and they negotiated, and eventually they sent me a new offer letter.
But this is a school system. Mm-hmm. It's so bizarre that they think that they could do that when the whole point of education is to reveal the truth and unveil things and have transparency across like growth and learning. And to do that to your own faculty seems like, are they waiting for a lawsuit to happen? Like,
I don't know. And it was and I want to say it was a newer charter school. So if people are like, you can't do that in the public school system, you probably couldn't do it in a big public school system like CPS. But a small new charter, absolutely.
Yeah, private situations, private institutions can get away with a lot more.
Yep.
They're not beholden to so much government regulation and rules and eyes. There's not enough people looking at it.
Yeah, there's not enough people looking at it at all. Mm-hmm. And so, they tried to turn it back on me like, well, how do you even know this? It's illegal to tell people that they cannot discuss their pay. Mm-hmm. Like, you as an employer cannot tell us that amongst each other we can't discuss our pay. And they'll try to say that like that's against the rules, but it's literally illegal for you to tell us that we can't discuss our pay. So we were discussing, he and I, and that's how I found out. And I was like, well, that's not okay. Yeah.
No, that's tricky. Yeah, a lot of private companies, schools, or just companies, women I know that have worked in them that have had issues with financial situations or sexual harassment. Mm-hmm. As soon as it's like for a private company, they're like, there's nothing really to do about it. They're not beholden to the same things. Everything's kept private. Mm-hmm. Their financial situation can be private, and if there's a sexual misconduct, they could just kind of find ways to sweep it under the rug. It's like, I don't know, the public's not aware of it. We don't worry about it.
Yeah. And honestly, without the help of like the other teacher, the guy teacher, like he could have been like, I don't want to be involved. Like, don't tell them like I was the one that told you, because he could have said something like that. And like, I don't want to, tarnish my name. I don't want them mad at me because I told you something. Like, he could have said that. But instead, he chose to be on my side, which I'm thankful for,
Yeah.
But he could have been like, washed his hands of it. Like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm. It takes brave people on both sides. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of people will say, like, oh, like, why don't women speak up more? It's like, so if you think about it, if you already are being belittled or abused in whatever way, in what logical sense in your head. Does it make sense to say anything when you're like, the people who are doing, why would they care if they're the ones doing it?
Why would they care?
So you actually do need like other
An
men to rise up
advocate,
with.
yeah.
An actual professional and personal advocate who can be there with you to prove like we're on the same level. We rise together. And that looks good to people who are like, oh, well, if they're both doing, like, it must be more legitimate.
Right. Because if I didn't have him to be like, well, here's a copy of my offer letter for proof, like, they could say that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah, and you
have
can't win
no
against
proof.
administration. They have more money, more power, more money wins 100% of the time.
So it's like, no, he's got an offer letter with your signature
Yeah.
on it. So here we are.
And
Like,
that was in Phoenix? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, so he helped me out in that situation. It was like, this is like the bare minimum you could do. Like, is just give people fair pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is that so difficult?
They're trying to cut corners, make money everywhere they can. And
it's crazy because it's like, before something happens to you, it's kind of hard to believe. But I was like, wow, this is really real, like in a very real way. Like this is happening, and I can only imagine how it's happening to women in other industries.
yeah. Making me all down.
I'm sorry.
You've done a lot. You've been around. You've like, just from college to now, just the last decade, you really have.
It's crazy, yeah. In this conversation, I realized, wow, the last decade has been a lot I have been doing. I've been moving.
That's what again, like how we started this, the 20s. It's if you really go for it, it could be an extraordinary decade.
Yeah,
and it sounds like it has been for you.
It's been a wild time. I have done a lot of different
30,
things.
You said next week?
Next month.
What day?
The 16th.
Of December? I'm the 14th.
What?
Let's have a party together.
Yes.
What are you doing for your birthday?
I don't know yet.
All right, we'll meet up. We'll go do
All
something.
right,
Let's
we'll
get
do
all our
something.
friends together.
Hell yeah, let's go out and party.
Yeah, let's trespass, take some photos.
Yep. You want to make a music video for our birthday?
Let's do it. December 6th. You know what? So having your birthday that close to Christmas, for me growing up, I want to hear what it was like for you. Did you get the double whammy or did you get it all put into one?
So I think when I was really little, I got the double whammy.
Me too.
And so I got really used to it. I was like, oh, this is what life's always going to be like. And now they're like, oh, you want a present? You get one.
Yeah. Well, people stopped caring after like 12.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not giving you a birthday and a Christmas one. But what they would do, a lot of my parents and my aunts and uncles, is instead of giving 2 gifts, they would just give one massive one.
Yeah.
And on it would just say like for birthday and Christmas.
Yep.
And I was like, this is great.
This'll do.
Yeah.
Like, I like this. Because it's like, then you kind of get something really expensive.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. I remember my friends being jealous. It's like, you guys get the same thing, but don't be jealous. You have birthdays in like June and July, which is way better.
Oh my God.
Way better.
When I was younger, I used to always celebrate my half birthday because it's in June and I always wanted to have a pool party, but you cannot have a pool party in December in Chicago.
No.
So I'm like, I want a pool party, so I'm celebrating my half birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to try that. My parents were like, no, you're not. Because it was close to my sister's birthday. Like, no, you're not stealing her thunder. The half birthday thing. But yeah, the Christmas birthday, it's interesting because you're kind of like always on winter break. So that's kind of nice.
That is nice. You usually get to chill and
You might have a
everybody's
day off.
around. Exactly.
Everyone's home from wherever. So that is nice. It's always like a little reunion.
Yep.
But it's dark. It's cold. It's the
so
lowest amount of sunlight
cold.
in the whole year.
So cold.
Yeah, that's really funny. I always enjoy meeting people from that era.
I did get to, for my 26th birthday, I was still in Arizona, so I got to have brunch on a patio.
Oh, we're talking about brunch again.
Brunch on a patio
but
for
you're
my
not
birthday.
from Lakeview. Okay. I need an answer to this question. Why do I'm going to stereotype here, but
Okay.
it's fun. It's light. It's not a big deal. Why do women gravitate towards brunch so much more than men?
Day drinking.
But men love day drinking too.
Yeah. I think it's because of the drinks that are associated with brunch.
The mimosas.
The champagne and orange juice combo is a girly drink, I guess. It's like, sorry to stereotype, but it is kind of a girly
It's definitely,
drink.
if you mean girly, you mean lame. No, I'm just kidding.
It's light. You can knock them back. I think that, for women who don't like the taste of alcohol, mimosas are perfect. It's just orange juice. It's bubbly orange juice, and you can drink like 6 of those.
Oh my god! Yeah, this is this is sounding very girly.
But I personally prefer brunches where you get a package that also includes Bloody Marys because I'm a fan.
I can't. I haven't. Okay, I say I can't do them only because I've never had a real one. Okay. I've had them like when I visit my parents. My brother will make them, and it's a cheap thing in like the kitchen real quick. He whips up. I've never had like a nice restaurant one.
Okay.
I've never had a lot of nice things at restaurants. I don't really go out to eat a lot, so.
Bloody Marys are like an acquired taste, number one. Like,
well,
people hate
juice,
them.
Right?
Yeah. People do not like them. If you don't like them, you don't like them. Mm-hmm. You can't force yourself to like them. If you like them, though, they're great. I think the best place in the world to get Bloody Marys is Wisconsin.
Have you been everywhere in the world?
Oh, my God.
That's your answer.
My first bar job was in Wisconsin.
Oh, so it's just biased.
Yeah, so it's a little biased. And we had fucking great Bloody Marys, like the best Bloody Marys in the city.
So we have to go deeper with this, though. Like, I get mimosas, Bloody Marys. Everyone loves to drink with their friends.
Mm-hmm.
But why? Why brunch? Like, out of all the times to drink and get along with your girlfriends and talk and hang out and catch up, like, why that?
I think, well, one, brunch is like cute, right?
Here we go. Okay.
Brunch is so cute. You get your cute little, like, is it breakfast? Is it lunch meals? Maybe some avocado toast, like something real cute that it's Instagrammable. And then you get to wear like a cute outfit that's not a club outfit, right? It's like, okay, I get to like wear like a cute outfit that's kind of casual, kind of dressy, and it's daytime. So we got good light to take pictures. It's the most Instagrammable meal that you'll ever have.
This got so girly. Like, this is the girliest I've seen you in the last, I don't know how many hours it's been. Like, you've been like, yeah, like boys' clothes. Oh my God, it's so cute. The lighting, the dresses, it's not club, but it's like this, and the mimosas.
And then if there's a good DJ, it's like
DJs
all
at
of the,
brunch?
yes. Oh my God. So
I need to go to a brunch. I've never been to one.
That's what it is. You got to go to like a good brunch. Like a good brunch where you get your table, you get your mimosa, your drink package.
Yeah. What time? Like 10:30, 11? What time is brunch?
Like 11 to 3.
Oh, I guess I've been to a brunch. Because I've been to like a 1 or 2 p.m. hang out with some friends and got like a mimosa. So I guess. But it wasn't what you're describing.
No, you got to do like crazy brunch.
It sounds like because other guys were there. I think I need to go with like, how many women do you normally do it with?
I don't even always do it with women, but like a solid crew one is probably like 6, like a big group, and then you can get like a bottle, and then like
I need to go
and
with
then if there's
6
a DJ,
women to a brunch.
Everybody's
I don't know
drinking.
how this is gonna happen, but I need to do it. I want to sit there and be a fly on the wall
and just see what it's like.
I just want to go and be like, what's going on here? I don't know. I'm curious about that stuff. I'm really curious about like certain gatherings of different like sexes and different genders. It's fascinating to me because it's the same thing with guys. Like, I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of guy friends, and the second there's like no women around, things change. Like, a lot.
Oh my God, I was hanging out with a group of bikers last night, so I completely understand.
Just your typical Sunday night biker hangout.
Biker hang. This is like 6 guys, and they're bikers, so you know.
Oh, you don't need this anymore. But the thing is, I don't care who you are. Most groups they'll get as natural as they can get around someone they're close with. But the second they truly are like, it's just dudes, it's just women. The second it's just that, things really
it gets different.
I'm sure. I wish I could see and hear what women start talking about. Like, I would love to know.
We talk about all kinds of.
I really want to know because it. With men, it doesn't go where you would think. They don't just start going like tits and ass. Like, it doesn't go to that. It's usually like, you think Brady's gonna win another one? It's like, did you hear that new record by so and so? It's like, and if it does, I'm not a good example of this because I'm not like, I don't really speak in the same way a lot of men might about it. But if it does get sexual, it usually is very still chill and like calm and like. Yeah, I don't know. I was talking to this girl. Like, it's so subtle. I would love to hear the way women go about it. I'm very curious.
Well, it depends too, like on the groups of women. So I have to be honest. Like, I have a lot of guy friends.
Yeah.
So like, I've got like, I've got my like solid like girlfriends, like but I wouldn't even say that like my solid group of girlfriends like gets together like as a group very often and
Right.
just like hangs out. Like it's usually like a one-off. Maybe there's like 2 of us like going to lunch or something, or maybe 3 of us like hanging out. But there's never like a big group of us. The group hangs that I usually do usually include a lot of guys, and sometimes I'm the only girl or like one of like 2 girls.
Yeah.
So when I'm like with my girlfriends, I think guys think that we talk about like things like guys a lot and stuff like that. And sometimes we do. We do talk about boys, but we talk about all kinds of random things. Like, for example, when I was in high school, I went to an all-girls Catholic school for a little while. And, you know, you think girls are sitting around and like talking about all the boys that they see outside of school, and it's like, girls are literally having competitions to see who can go the longest without shaving their legs. Like, girls are like weirdos too.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're piercing each other's belly buttons in the bathroom and just doing stupid shit. Like, you know,
Figuring out
guys are
life,
like
too.
falling off of things, and girls are like, here, can you like take this needle and like
Yeah.
pierce
Dumb
my
stuff
ear
in their
for
own
me?
way.
Yeah.
Stuff that's relative to you.
Yeah, so like
Of
young,
course.
so like that's like teenagers, and then like girls, like we talk about life, relationships, jobs, you know.
I want to know what you talk about when it comes to like why you wouldn't or would like date somebody or marry somebody. Like that's what I want to know. The deep stuff.
The deep
Like
stuff.
the real reason, not superficial stuff like, oh, like that person's cute, that person's hot, or like this about them, or like this is. I want to know like the fundamental reasons behind your decisions of a relationship.
The crazy thing is like we definitely talk about that stuff. The crazy thing that I think is that like how different women all are. Like we're not always like in a room agreeing with each other like, oh yeah, that's like something that we necessarily have to have like when it comes to a relationship. Like I'll hear one friend say this thing and another friend will say this thing and I'll say this thing, and it's like they're all different things. Yeah, so it's like we're all individuals, like men, women, like
Sure.
ultimately, yeah, you'll get into you make friends based off people who are similar to you, like you guys have things in common and stuff like that. But you know, one of my best friends, she's Palestinian and she's Muslim. And so like for her, starting a family and getting married means something completely different than my, you know, Black Christian friend, right?
Yeah.
So like it just looks different. Like
Absolutely.
So, but you know, it's always good conversation. It's always good because it's interesting to see how differently people think about like love and relationships and marriage and things like that.
Yeah,
I'm always the wild card. They think I'm the crazy one. Like, I think because I'm a little bit more. One, my friends are a little bit older than me. Like my closest friends, they're all a little bit older than me. I'm like the youngest of like most of my friend groups.
Okay.
So
Like how much younger?
not like crazy younger, maybe like a few years, like 2, 3, 4 years, maybe.
Okay.
You know.
See, I'm the oldest. I have a different dynamic. I'm the oldest out of like all my friends.
So I'm kind of their wild card, and I've always been, but I think that's kind of the role that I play in most of my friend groups anyways. I'm kind of like the wild card. I'm always doing things differently. I'm always kind of like out there, like with my like thoughts and ideas. So, you know, I'm always throwing a wrench, and they're always looking at me like, what the fuck?
They probably like it though.
I think so. I guess maybe that's why they stick around. But yeah, I'm always the one that's like throwing in like, yeah, but you know, what about this? So we talk about all kinds of things. Like women, the conversations vary based on like who you're hanging out with.
Yeah. It's just, you can never be that fly on the wall because as soon as you're like a male presence there, it's going to change. There's just not. The only way it isn't is if there's enough like liquor involved.
Yeah.
I learned that Saturday night. Sitting down at my kitchen table, we had a party here, and there was 4 women talking, and I sat down, and it instantly felt like that brunch vibe. The way they were like, "Oh, Ben, tell us about it." I'm like, "Oh no."
It can happen. Definitely, liquor is a great way for it to happen, or just even being like super like close. Like my main friend group is like, what is it? 3 women and 2 guys. Like that's our like solid group, right? So those two guys are like flies on the wall in like women's conversations. Sometimes they're like, okay, muting group chat because what the fuck?
Oh, like a text group chat?
Yeah, like what are you guys talking about? Like we might be in there like sending in like screenshots of like some like guy. It's like he's look at these abs, and they're like, why are we included in this?
Do women care about abs?
Some of
That was a great answer. You were like, I don't want to say yes, so I'm just gonna make a smiley face, look off to the side, and say, and raise my voice a couple cents.
We don't necessarily care, but they are nice to look at.
Why are they nice to look at?
I don't know. Something about them just makes them nice to look at.
I want answers. I want to know why we like certain, because you can ask me the same thing about women. I want to know why we like certain things about people.
Well, I think it's society. It's like has like socialized us to sexualize certain parts of people's bodies.
But does it feel inherent, or does it feel like you learned it? Does it feel like truly?
Well, I think at this point in life, it feels inherent because it's been that way since we were young, right? Think about the standards of beauty. So like set when we were kids, right? And they haven't super changed much, right? So, you know, if this is what we're seeing on magazine covers and music videos and things like that, like, well, this is obviously hot. And so your mind now has like taken that in. It's like, this is hot to me. I like this. That's why I don't think, and I don't know, other people are different, but I don't think preferences are like a weird thing to have. Like,
No.
I think everybody's going to prefer something. I think you shouldn't get too caught up in your preferences. It's like because you miss out on good people that you obviously like really might like or might enjoy. And so I've always been like really like aware of that, like with dating. Like, all right, I may prefer a certain height or a certain body type or a certain like hair type or something like that. I might have this ingrained preference. But if this person and I spark a good conversation, I owe it to myself to see where this goes. And if I'm attracted, like, I think my mom has always said that, are you attracted to them? Yes or no? Stop thinking about what you prefer, what you think attractiveness is. How do you feel?
Yeah.
Right? You know, what do you get the tingle? If you get the tingle, you like them.
Yeah. No, your mom's right. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's hard to unlearn that. But back to what we were saying about what you were saying about it kind of being taught in society. I agree with that, but then I start to question, but also on this like really deep core level, are we attracted to like healthy looking fit people for two reasons? One, it shows longevity and like fertility, and they're alive and they're well, and that shows promise for investment in the future with a family and the genes they pass off to the kid. And then something adjacent to that, also does it show that they have due diligence, they have discipline to show they can set a goal and accomplish it. You know how hard it is to get abs? It's not easy, trust me. It's not easy. It takes so much. You have to eat well, sleep well, not consume certain drugs or too much alcohol, and exercise like a maniac.
Yeah. And then number 3, you might look at a healthier person and think that they might be better at sex.
I'm so glad you said that. I was just having this conversation yesterday. While I was hiking in the forest with my friend, I was like, say what you will. I'm going to be really honest right here. Say what you will about the human body, but there's something pretty miraculous and attractive when people are really fit, because it shows like sex could be a lot nicer and better because of that. And that's attractive. Just that thought is like attractive. Like there's a lot of layers to this. So that's why I think it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
it's very natural to like want to be with someone that you know will pass on those good genes. Also, again, shows like true discipline as a person, that they're willing to set aside all of those temptations of the donut and the ice cream and the pizza, especially in Chicago. And they use these excuses, well, it's cold out, I want to stay inside and eat. It's like someone who's still fit in the winter. Now that's someone who's determined. And that says a lot. So we are definitely showed in the magazines and the movies and the Brad Pitts and all that. We all love Brad Pitt and or Ryan Gosling, whatever you want, whoever you want it to be. But it might be because before it was put on there, maybe that's us put into society because we've always realized we've been attracted to those things. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of all of it.
It could. It probably is.
It's gotta be.
That's the answer. It's all of the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's an easy way out. But it is funny, though, like, so many women, like, I'm fine with the guy this way. And then as soon as you do the ab thing, they're like, well, the abs. He's got abs.
I mean, they're not bad.
But then, like, men don't really want abs on women.
Yeah.
Not traditionally. Not the kind where you, like, literally see, like, a six-pack.
Yeah, and I find that really attractive on women.
Abs?
Yeah.
But it should go both ways.
I find it attractive on both people.
Yeah.
And it probably has to do with what you're talking about, that dedication thing. It's like, and I think maybe I find it even more attractive. Like, Tiana Taylor is so attractive to me. Like, she's so gorgeous. Like, and she's got abs like that where you can see them. She's got muscles like that where you can see them. And it's like, do you know how hard it is for us who just naturally have more body fat, women just naturally do, to get chiseled like that?
It's harder than men.
Bro,
Way harder.
Like, yeah. So, like, when I see that, I'm like, all right, you're really, like, you go hard. Like, you have to because it's harder.
That's actually a great point. Maybe, possibly, perhaps, it's why men might not be as attractive to the abs on women. Maybe because their own ego, because it's like, well,
she works out more than me.
But it also could be the fertility thing. Like, we know that women should have a higher body fat percentage. It's safer for birth and for bearing a baby. It's a safer reserve for breastfeeding and having more fat. It's why your breasts grow when you're pregnant. Maybe that's why it's not, because it's kind of like that's too much. Now they might not be safe for what they are meant to be doing if they're giving a baby to the world. I don't know.
There's so many factors. There's so many things. I think that people just go be with who you're attracted to.
Yeah, I agree. It's the sex thing you brought up is a really big one that people will not talk about.
Oh yeah, I think to me that's the biggest one. To me personally, I think that's what it is. I think it's
that's probably the right answer. We just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, you really just don't want to admit it. It's like,
as everything does.
I mean, because people are not honest about what they're thinking about when you first see someone. You're not thinking about, oh, I wonder if that person is so nice. Like, oh my God, I wonder if they...
Who's this voice? Who are you mocking right now?
Everybody.
I know who you're doing. I just want you to say it. The person who's getting mimosas in Lakeview. That's who you're mocking right now at 11 a.m. on a Sunday.
No, I just really want to get to know them. Like, no, you saw this man from across the bar at brunch and you thought, ooh, nice abs. I think I would like having sex with him.
Thank you for finally telling men what we should have been hearing this whole time.
It's the truth.
Of course it's the truth. We do the same thing.
If you're like a guy and you come up to me and you start chatting with me because you're interested, I know within about 5 seconds if I would like to have sex with you or not. I'm not sure if I'm going to.
Yeah.
I haven't made up my mind if I'm going to, but I know if I might like to.
You want to know the only difference between a man and a woman? Is a man knows within the half second.
Yep, exactly.
That's
the only difference.
It's the only difference.
He knows a little bit sooner than you.
And the only reasons why is you have to think, this can get a little graphic, you have to think, if you want to get really into what the whole point of sex is, it's like, I have to carry this person's baby. It's just this simple. This is biology. They're going to be putting their DNA into me. I have to carry this. I have to deal with all the repercussions. I have to take who I pick significantly more serious.
Exactly.
Whereas a man's just like, I'm expendable. I can do this all day, anywhere I want, forever and ever, and leave with no repercussions.
Yep.
So because of that, it's like that much faster to think about it. I don't have to worry about anything
you have to take a
financially.
thought. You have to be like, all right, what kind of person are you? It matters a little bit more because...
Of course it does.
What kind of person are you?
Well, I don't have to care. Not me. The
man.
Typical man doesn't have to care because they don't even have to worry about your personality. I don't care what you might be thinking. Correct me if I'm wrong. Why you just said, what kind of person are you? Because now I have to wonder, what kind of DNA and person, child am I going to have? Who is this person?
Because it could happen.
Yes.
It could always happen.
I don't have to think about that as a man because it's like I'm out. Like I'm in and then I could leave and whatever happens,
and then it's
happens.
over. Yeah.
It's over. It's a very different perspective.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, the fundamental reason why the classic, like, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Why don't we understand each other? Battle of the sexes. It's that right there. I think it comes down to that really deep core thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this conversation with multiple people. I love conversations like these because I think they're important. I love those conversations that make people feel awkward sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that means you don't talk about this enough.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Yes. Luckily, I talk about this enough, but only with like 2 or 3 people. It's usually on those private hikes in the forest.
Yeah.
Where you can get away with like, no one's going to care.
No one's going to know. Let's
this.
just talk about it. Exactly.
It's helpful, but I don't have enough with women. It's mostly guys.
I think men and women should have those conversations. And because I have a lot of guy friends, I have had the conversations with guys a little bit more than most other women. And I've actually even said to like my guy friends, it's like, it's what you were talking about. Like when the sexes are separate and when they're like having their conversations just amongst themselves, they talk about different things. And so like I was explaining to like one of my guy friends, I'm just like, we don't know what you guys are talking about, just like you guys don't know what we're talking about. And so if those two conversations are never had amongst each other, we're just going to keep talking amongst ourselves and not talking to each other about these things. And so it's like, you can't expect women to know what you guys are talking about over here, just like women can't expect men to know what we're talking about over here. Unless someone shares.
Yeah, so we have to do this.
Yeah.
2 random people who don't know each other. Probably the healthiest way to do it.
Yeah.
We have no biases. We have nothing to hold back. I think it's the best way to do it. And it's helpful. I learn a lot every time. The ab thing and the whole like 5-second thing, that's very helpful because you always wonder like, how do they know? What are they judging it on? Because you don't know someone's job or bank account before you meet them.
Yeah.
It's visual first.
It's always visual, and so you can't eliminate that part of it.
Yeah.
Because you just can't.
No, I mean,
if you're meeting people out in public, or I mean, even dating apps, it's still visual. You're swiping on pictures.
Yeah, it starts with pictures, and then it goes down to like parameters, and then maybe like a sentence or a prompt they have.
Yep.
Like probably in that order, 100% of the time. Like the first thing you see is a photo. It's the same thing with social media. Like someone posts a photo. This is a subject I actually want to get into since you've done modeling and photography. When it comes to Instagram and women, this gets complicated.
Okay.
We all know what a good amount or a portion of women like to do with photos, their bodies, and Instagram. They like to show skin, which is fine. But it starts to mean something and portray something. And they might be going for something creative or empowering, which is great. But I start to wonder when that line gets blurred between that and just trying to get fame or likes or recognition.
Definitely.
And it starts to become disingenuous, or it's an art form or empowerment or being free or modeling to like me, love me, give me likes, give me advertising, give me subscriptions, give me whatever. This is for that. And you could be like, well, I thought it was about the music, but really, or is it about your body and manipulating your body, knowing that you'll probably get more likes? And have you noticed when you post a photo that's not of you or relevant to you, the likes you get versus one maybe where you're showing yourself maybe a little bit more skin? Do you notice a difference?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I knew the answer, but I wanted listeners to hear you say it.
You know, I definitely have those times where like even just if you go to my Instagram right now, my most recent posts are just like some photography I've done. They get significantly less likes than when I'm posting pictures of myself. Like when I'm posting myself, it's definitely, you know, and then you post in the stories and stuff like that. It's like, you know, when you've posted something that is appealing to men because they come out of nowhere into your DMs.
I'm so glad you finished that sentence because the way you said that, I was like, where's she going with this?
They come out of nowhere.
Come out of nowhere.
Into your DMs. They just slide right in your DMs.
What do you mean by like they just start messaging you?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Immediately.
Interesting.
Heart eyes. You're so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. See, I was going to say like, I've messaged women before, but it's usually like, hey, do you want to come on my podcast? Or hey, like, the most it ever gets is just like a professional, like, work, you want to collaborate on this? And it's not after they posted a photo of themselves either.
Well, good.
So I've never been like, I can't imagine, why would I just randomly send a flame or a heart or heart eyes to someone when they posted a photo? Like in a DM. Not like a comment on it, but like a DM.
Sometimes they comment, sometimes they DM. But like, if you post it on your feed, right, then they might comment.
Right.
If you post it in your story, then they'll DM. I've even had people, though, like, they'll send me the post that I've posted like in my feed and like be like, this is so beautiful, like heart eyes, fire emojis in the DMs as opposed to like commenting on it. And it's just like, okay.
Okay. Yeah, what is the response when you get those?
If I know the person, sometimes I respond. If I don't know them, I just keep it moving.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
I always get really in my head about that. Like, should I message this person out of nowhere asking them if they want to collaborate, if they want to come on the podcast, if they want to do a session, if anything like that? And I get so in my head about it. I'm like,
I do too.
I'm not even doing anything wrong. This is just like how you navigate the world now. You have to just reach out to people this way.
Yep.
It's just about the way you
I
word
usually
it.
do it when I'm drunk.
Oh, well, see, I don't do any of that when I'm drunk because like I will really make a mistake if I do. And if you do make a mistake, you don't have much to fall back on because like, oh, I'm intoxicated. That's probably not the best way to be doing this. But it's different from men to women.
Yeah.
I am, like, if a woman messaged me drunk, I would think nothing of it. If a guy does it to a woman, it's probably very different.
That
and
is
what
also
they're saying
true.
is probably
That's
different
true.
too.
Yeah. Because if I message you, I'm just getting the courage to be like, I really want to work with you. I think you're cool. Do you want to work together?
Yeah.
That's me sliding in somebody's DMs.
It's just so less, it's not invasive. It's not even scary or threatening. Like, I would never be scared, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And if a woman just was like, hey, I would like to collaborate or work with you, ever. But I'm sure, like, if a guy did it to you, you'd have to, like, second guess. Like, I got to research. Should I, like, look into this, who this person is, what they're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you reached out to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it via email? I don't even remember.
Yeah, you emailed me,
Okay.
and it was just like, and this is, I guess, this goes back to what we were talking about, like, the differences, like, men and women, and, like, interacting with each other. And it's like, I mean, I brought him along because, I didn't know you.
I'm scared.
Right? I mean, I've watched your podcast. I've watched some episodes. You seem cool, but, I don't know.
Yeah.
And as women, we have to think about
Of
stuff like that.
course.
We have to, like...
I don't blame you. I knew
Yeah.
right away, by the way.
Yeah.
When I saw him, I was like,
I figured.
this is the bodyguard. This is staff.
This is staff.
I get it, and I respect it, and I don't take it personally. I don't blame you either. I see it often. Yeah, it's got to be scary. It's got to be. It's different. It's a different world. You
You
don't
just never
people.
know.
You
Yeah.
don't.
And, the music industry is rough because there's a lot of guys. And so when you're a girl, like when you're a woman, a producer, or whatever, and you have to be in the studio and it's mostly guys, it's like, yeah, you're on guard.
Yeah.
You're like looking around, making sure everything's cool and good to go.
Yeah, that's hard. I know a handful of women, some that have sat where you are, that are in the music industry, and that they don't have many nice things to say about some experiences being surrounded by all men.
Mm-hmm.
Producer, a manager, the artist, someone booking shows. A lot of the time they are guys, and it can be pretty difficult. Not even like maybe no one's saying or doing anything wrong, but you still feel, because of being used to it.
Yeah, you're just
feel
on
like,
edge
yeah, you're
a
like,
little bit.
I don't know. Can I even say anything right now?
Can I relax? Should I drink? Should I...
Wait, let's stay on that one. That is huge. The drinking thing.
Mm-hmm. Because anytime you go to the studio, especially with rappers, they're, hey, here, you want to smoke? You want to drink? And it's like, I don't know. I have to get a lay of the land first. I have to make sure I feel comfortable first, because anything that might inebriate me means I'm off my guard a little bit. So
Especially alcohol.
Right. Before I do any of that, I need to make sure I'm comfortable here. I mean, to make sure I feel okay here.
Yeah. That's so hard, the alcohol thing. Even if it's straight alcohol, there's always the drugging, the roofie aspect of it, which happens all the time still.
Yeah.
But if you take away that, and it's just being a little intoxicated, and people still, because it gets, when you get to that tipsy point, then another like drink, someone can see like, oh, she's kind of like a little drunk. I'll just buy her another drink. Mm-hmm. Then you get to that one, you finish that one, then you can just keep doing before you know the person's trashed, and you can start doing get away with some really big things, some problems. But then when you get into the drugging part of it, I can't believe people do that.
Yeah, and you always have to think about it. Even yesterday, I was at the bar, and I was the only girl. I was hanging out with some of my guy friends, and I had to go to the bathroom, and it was like, I'm just going to finish this real quick.
See, I would never think of that. I would leave drinks out all day and not think anything of it.
I'm just gonna chug it, and I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's so sad. That's like not a way people should have to live.
Because I'm not thinking my friends will do anything, but
No.
I'm thinking they're not going to keep their eyes on it the way that
Would
I
you
might
ask
want
them?
to.
Would you ever be like, hey, so-and-so, just I'm going to go to the bathroom and watch my
Yeah,
drink?
if it's like somebody I like super trust, like I'd be like, I'm gonna leave my drink right here. Please keep an eye on it. You know?
God, what a weird, creepy thing to do. Just go around like drugging people. That's dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
people
I know
do
people
it.
who've gone through that. It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't even know the mindset of why one would want to do that. Clearly, you're completely disturbed and unstable. You want to like have sex with a lifeless body.
You want to take advantage. Yeah,
It's
like
weird.
taking advantage of somebody in such a way. It's just
Power, this weird power dynamic you have over them. Yeah, it goes from that to less creepy, but still creepy with people who have power in a music or film or art industry, and they use that to an advantage, like flexing, like, oh, do you want to come hang out with me? I did this, and that. And instead of just being a person, being themselves.
Or, you know, I can help you with this and have no intentions of, like, being helpful. Like, it's hard. Like I told you, I've reached out to, and I'm very thankful that, like, the guys in the music industry that I've reached out to, like, get started and to ask for help from have never, like, been creepy, have never been weird, have never, like, tried to take advantage of me in any situation. And I know that's just, like, such a, you know, something so simple, like, that should be, you know, just common respect, common knowledge, like, but I'm really thankful for that. Like, I'm just really thankful that the people that I've met, the people that I've, like, been around and experienced have been very cool. And, like, you know, so, like, because I know the stories that you talk about, like, you know, that women have had these negative experiences in the industry. So I'm just super thankful that I've been around, like, good people.
Yeah. No, that's good. And it's good for other men to hear that, so that they can know if they were kind of on the cusp of making a mistake or doing the wrong thing. They now know, like, oh, I have a better relationship with my craft and my art, knowing how to not manipulate that based on the power dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, if you are someone in charge hiring someone, you instantly have that dynamic of where they're trying to please you. They're trying to use their creativity and craft to, like, hone in and please you and be better for the job. So you already have a leg up, and you should never take advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly. Making people feel uncomfortable, like making them feel like they have to do certain things for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, those situations where, like, a male boss might have a female employee and, like, you know, might not even be, like, super aggressive, but even to just be like, maybe say ask her on a date, right? You don't know that you may have made her feel like she now has to do that because you asked. And it may not even be even super aggressive, right? He may not even think that he, like, crossed a line, really. You know, he might even just be like, well, I asked, you said no, and that's that. Like, she might feel obligated just because he's in that power position over her. Like, he might not like me, or he might not treat me the same as the other employees if I don't go do this thing.
If I say no, I won't get the promotion.
Right, exactly.
I won't get the work. The right
the
word for that, I
opportunities.
think, is trapped.
Yeah.
You feel trapped. And I've heard that, and it's extremely heartbreaking to hear that. Like, I don't know if I actually wanted to do it. You feel trapped. Like, what else do I have? And that's why I don't even approach that subject matter. Like, why even put someone in an uncomfortable situation? Keep your dating life completely separate from work.
Exactly.
100% of the time.
Exactly.
I won't even touch it with a 10-foot pole. Like,
right.
It's just not right for them. It's not fair
Just
to
not
me.
gonna don't cross that line, like in the workplace. It's like, just don't.
No.
And then you don't make anybody feel uncomfortable.
Obligated, and the most important thing is, like, being an artist, I hold it sacred, creativity, and I would never want to jeopardize someone else's creativity for my own ego, my own sexual drive. When I could take, you know, human consciousness is pretty powerful. I can take that and understand, like, I might be attracted to that person, but I'm going to override that because I respect art too much. I don't want to step on someone's craft because I know what it is to create. So I'll just go that way. I'll just leave it be. And you get over it, and it's fine. You don't have to just go with what you're feeling. What you're feeling is usually just a sexual thing.
Yeah.
Like we were talking earlier. It's not real. So just, like, override
It's just
it
an impulse.
and move on. And then it gets really easy. That's a learned skill, and it becomes easier and easier the more you do it. Teenage boys don't know how to do it. But once you become an adult male, you know, you should learn how to do it. And women can do the same. It's not the same. It really isn't, but men can learn how to do it. I hate when they're like, I'm just a man, I can't help it. It's like, you can, Many do it all the time. You just have to
Yeah.
learn how to do it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying,
And be intentional.
yeah, practice it. You have to try. Have the conversations. Talk to them and learn about what they're going through so you have a better understanding of like how your actions are affecting people.
Exactly.
And that's hard. It could be a little embarrassing. You have to like let your guard down. You're not flexing anymore. Men are always trying to flex and impress. You always want to find that person. But if you can let it down, it takes a lot of patience.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Yeah. How you doing over there? What time is it? Wow, we've been going for a while.
Okay. What time is it?
It's 2:15.
Oh, shit.
Or 1:15.
Oh, I was going to say 2:15.
1:15. Do you have time? Do you have anything you need to do?
I just got a little... Oh, sorry. I got an email. No, I just got a little meeting to go to in a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll wrap up soon, shortly. Anything you want to promote or talk about before we head out?
What do I got going on?
That went by really fast, by the way.
It did. I didn't realize it had been so long.
I did not. Yeah, that was one of the fastest 2 hours ever.
About what?
You could talk.
Your song?
My song. Oh. I dropped a song yesterday. It's just an
wow.
instrumental. It's called Lost. It's on all the streaming stuff. You can find me, King Chloé.
That's what you perform under? King
Yeah, that's my producer name, King Chloé.
That's
So Lost is out now on all the streaming services. Go run up my streams.
So Lost. Anything else you want to promote?
What else am I promoting?
The industry.
The Industry. Yes, The Industry Chicago. So The Industry Chicago is a group founded by Isra Shatat. We are putting on an open mic series. We had the first one in October on the 9th at Wynwood Kitchen in Wicker Park. The next one's going to be December 4th at the same place, Wynwood Kitchen. We're going to promote it all over Instagram, so you can follow at The Industry Shy. You can also follow at Art Lab Shy. All of the promotions and the way to like enter to do the open mic are going to be on those 2 pages.
What does the open mic entail? Any type of performance?
So right now it's music. So the first couple of them are going to be music. We are eventually going to do a stand-up open mic, but we're going to have some really cool people like in the audience. And so the first one, the RSVP sold out in like hours. So we're trying to really get it off the ground, like make it a big series where we're giving away prizes, and the prizes are going to be kind of cool. So like, you know, different packages with different producers and engineers and working, like there's going to be some studio packages that are given away and just like really cool stuff like that. The opportunity to perform at a music festival was given away.
I'd like to be a part of that.
Oh yeah.
I can offer some stuff too.
Oh, that would be dope. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. So
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk. I'll
Yeah.
get you in touch with Lala because she's the person that like runs the whole thing. So she's super dope. She's my manager.
I love how you have to tell you
See,
these
this
things.
is why I need
have a song. I'm doing this thing. Oh, wait, she's my manager. I had no idea these things were
She
happening.
would have been here today if she didn't have to work. And she would be doing the exact same thing, yelling at me
okay.
from the corner, telling me to say things. This is why I have an artist manager, because I do creative things and then they tell me how to do the business thing.
The business side of it takes a lot to learn. I'm
Yeah.
still learning it. It's not easy.
So that's ultimately what made me want to hire a manager, because
Oh, yeah, I did this thing. It just came out. I forgot about it.
yeah, exactly. She's telling me, she's like promoting all my stuff for me. And, you know, she like books me gigs and stuff like that. So it's nice. It's nice to have somebody that's like really businessy so I
Yeah.
can be creative.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Unfortunately, December 4th, I won't be in town. But the next one,
But the next one we're going to probably do at the top of the year, either late January or early February. So, I mean, we're going to keep going. We want to get to a point where we can do it every month. But right now it's every other month.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep my eye out for that.
Yeah.
Your participation.
The way that I participate, I DJ the events.
That's cool.
Yeah, I also, you'll see me running around taking photos and shooting video and stuff like that. So I kind of am like a jack of all trades. All the stuff that, we've been talking about today that I do for this project that we're working on, this open mic series.
And what is the name of it again?
The Industry Chicago.
Got it. Mm-hmm. And your clothing line?
Infinitely wavy.
Infinitely wavy.
Infinitely wavy. Forever wavy.
And all these things can be found on social media?
Yep, you can find Infinitely Wavy. There's a brand page on Instagram and also Twitter at Infinitely Wavy. You can find me at Creative Chloé Chanel on Instagram, and I have links to everything from there too. So if you just want to hit me up, follow me, you'll be able to see all of my clothing. You'll be able to get to my portfolio site. You'll be able to hear my music from there. So everything's centrally located at Creative Chloé Chanel.
I love it.
Yeah.
Chloé, thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you for inviting me. This was actually really cool. I was super nervous driving over
Really?
here. Yeah.
I had to bring my bodyguard. I was nervous. I don't know why I'm doing this. This actually turned out to be okay.
I'm like, am I even really an artist? Why does he even want to talk to me? Who am I?
I wasn't nervous. I was sitting around waiting. I was like, where is this person?
Sorry, I was a little late, guys.
I don't get nervous anymore being on this side of it.
Yeah.
I do it so much, But yeah, it was a pleasure to meet you. You're very talented, very creative. Keep doing it.
Thank you
I
so
support it. I
much.
can't wait to look into more of what you're doing, and that open mic thing seems
Oh,
great.
hell yeah. We've got some other things to discuss for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, let's keep in touch about it.
For sure.
All right. Take
Well,
care.
thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.